Okay, hello and welcome to the Blueprint Review podcast, our monthly chat about a wide range of films, new or old, popular or obscure, focusing largely but not exclusively on physical media, much like the site itself. For the bulk of the show, we're going to, each of us are going to chat about a film or two we've recently seen from our unwatched piles in our collections. But first, let's introduce ourselves. Yeah, I'm David Brooke. I'm Blueprint Review's editor. I also write a lot of reviews for the site. And with us today is the podcast regular, Mr. Leon Vegas.
Hi, hello. I think I've been on every episode.
I'm pretty sure you have. Yeah. Everyone else keeps dropping out. I don't know what's happening. I'm a little worried. I don't know. It's hard. Keep doing random nights. It's a bit can't always get them.
Yeah,
but never mind. It's the summer as well. I think people are less available or less interested. I must admit, I almost skipped this month, but I was like, no, we'll do it. I like to say, I think it'll be a shorter episode. It never happens. I think I say that every time, and it's always epic. I'm very shiny today.
Is it a new camera? Because I know you mentioned recently you've got like the new camera setup, right?
Well, yeah. I think I used it last time or the time before, so I've used it once. But yeah, it's a slightly different one. It's slightly better quality because the built-in Mac one's awful. But I found one in my cupboard somewhere that seems to be a little bit better. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Oh, awesome.
Cool. So I think what we'll do first is something. I don't know if we did it last time because last episode was weird, wasn't it? It was my kind of
big binge and everything.
Yeah, bachelor week or whatever I want to call it. But we did do it. I think at least the week before, and that was to kind of look at what we have been buying over the last month. So Leon, I'll let you kick things off. You look excited to show me something.
I am beyond excited. I have so much, and some of these are upgrades, some of these are just blind buys. I kind of went a bit nuts over the past few months, and also it was my birthday the other day, so I kind of splashed out a bit as well. So I probably won't spend too long talking about some of these. I'll just be like, hey, I picked this up. But yeah, okay, let's go for it. So first off, I picked up the Shout Factory Child's Play 4K. This is the US release. I picked it up off a guy on Marketplace, and the reason why I wanted this is because last year I covered the Child's Play box set for Blueprint, but Arrow's box set doesn't come with the first film in 4K, which is really bizarre. I think it was like a licensing thing because MGM like released it over here, and they didn't have like an MGM deal over here for some reason. But I've got the review discs, like the screener copies for every other film in 4K apart from this, and I was like, you know something, I don't want just the first one on Blu-ray, so I figured, hey, I'd upgrade it. And it was, I got it for a reasonable price. Another upgrade, another US import, and I got this off eBay. It's one of my favorite films ever, David Lynch's Blue Velvet. Nice. Absolutely, like, essential 4K upgrade. Knowing this, as soon as I imported this, I guarantee Criterion will announce it over here.
I was going to say, UK Criterion are going heavy on 4K now. They seem to, because they changed... I don't know if it's distributors or something. They've changed the people handling it, and they seem to be just 4K tastic sort of thing. Everything's 4K.
Absolutely, yeah. It's I think it's Spirit now, like Spirit Entertainment or something, because they used to be handled by, was it Sony?
It's Sony,
yeah. And then I know everything was going like out of print at some point, but now, they're doing amazing. Like today's announcements or yesterday's announcements of like Godzilla, the original Scarface, and Gummo, which I'll be covering. I'm so excited. I'm so glad to be talking about a Harmony Korine film. He's a fascinating filmmaker. But I love Criterion recent output. Like I'm so glad, and they're so good, like with like sending out the discs and everything like pretty early. Like what was it, like Risky Business I've covered for the site, and I'm trying to think what else have Criterion released recently. I covered something else from them, I'm sure.
They are the best for sending them out early. Sometimes getting like 2 months early, it's bonkers. Gives you plenty of time to give it a proper watch, get through the extras.
Happiness, that's it. Happiness.
Yes,
I've actually sat through the Happiness extras already because I really wanted to see why am I forgetting his name? The actor in the film. Oh my god, I'm forgetting him. He's like I'm gonna use my phone real quick to check. I shouldn't do this. I should know this off by heart, and I guarantee it'll probably come to me as I'm googling it. No, it didn't. No, wait, it did. Right before I looked. Dylan Baker. Dylan
Yes,
Baker.
yes, that's
There's
it.
a Dylan Baker interview, and it's very, very amusing. I won't get into it yet, but oh no, really, really excited to actually like sit down and watch Happiness soon, because that film never even like that's been like relegated to DVD for the longest time.
Yeah.
It's so cool to see it get a Blu-ray and a 4K upgrade.
Annoyingly, I actually bought the DVD, I think only like 3 months or something before the Blu-ray came out. I was like,
At that point, you're like, it's never gonna get a Blu-ray at this point. It feels because of how like it's just been so long, and then Criterion are like, voila. Today I picked these two up today. So I picked up the 4Ks of Nobody and Knock at the Cabin. I really, really love Knock at the Cabin. It's one of my favorite M. Night films, and I liked Nobody for what it was. I didn't think it was amazing, but Amazon have I think it was like a 2 for $25 deal on 4Ks right now. And they also had some coupons going on where I got an extra $5 off. So these only came to £20. And
wow, nice.
I did something really bad that I'm going to share on the podcast. And it's terrible because I need to atone for my sins. They arrived without slipcovers. And I'm a bit of a slipcover person where I love my slips. So I contacted Amazon live chat and I was like, hey, these show the slipcovers on the product item, but they didn't come with them. Is there anything you can do to like help out? And I got a full refund and get to keep them.
Whoa.
And I kind of feel bad because I don't know if like Amazon are going to pay Universal for these or if I've just stolen these off Universal. I hope I haven't, but because I like these films. But hey, I got them for free. I'm not going to complain because Amazon are usually terrible. Yeah. So if I can get a good Amazon deal, I'm not going to complain.
It's them that offered it. It's not doing anything wrong. It's
True. Yeah. I also picked up Moon Age Daydream via David Bowie documentary. Amazing film. This was 2022, I want to say. I think it was 2022.
Yeah, maybe it was in my top 10 of the year.
Yes, same. Oh, I loved it. And this recently got a 4K over here. Criterion released it on 4K in the States, and Universal released it over here. But this is one of those fancy ones with like the art cards and the steelbook. And I really, really love this documentary. So I think it was on sale on Amazon, so I just grabbed it and I was like, hey, I'll upgrade it from the Blu-ray. So I picked that up. I got speed through these. I'm taking so long. I picked up 3 of the. Is it Tygon or Tegon releases? I don't know how to pronounce it.
I'd say Tygon, but I might be wrong. I don't know.
I picked up 3 of these from 88 Films. Witchfinder General on 4K with Vincent Price, The Body Stealers, which I'm not too familiar with, and The Beast in the Cellar. I grabbed all of these during their summer sale last month, but it took them a while to dispatch it because I had like a pre-order item in there. I need to sit down and check these out. I quickly popped the disc in for Witchfinder General to see how the 4K looks. It looks so good. 88 over the past few years have been doing such a phenomenal job at these like restorations that they're doing and everything. I think they've really stepped their game up from like the early years of 88 Films, where it was kind of just like they were just like licensing stuff out from other companies for the most part. And no, I'm really impressed by like the level, like the quality control and just like the level of like extras and like presentation and all that stuff that 88 are doing. They're doing a great job. I bought the Super Mario Bros. Movie.
Fair enough.
I thought it was fun. I saw it at the cinema the other year, and it was in that 2 for $25 deal at HMV. I actually, right before we started recording, I watched this with my sister because she hadn't seen it. And I'm not going to say this film is great, but it's a really, really pretty movie. And I'm very happy I have it in the 4K collection. It's got Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos. It looks and sounds amazing. And it's a fun film.
I can't comment. I haven't seen it. But I have a soft spot for a lot of kind of kids animated films. Even the kind of ones... even the kind of, because everyone kind of obviously there's heaps praise on a lot of the Pixar and Disney ones, but a lot of the other stuff is better than the critics like you to think. They're still solid. They tend to be, kids movies tend to be solidly written, just fun, as you say, colourful.
Oh yeah.
Even if the story is a bit generic, you can usually have some fun with them. No, I've not seen that one yet. Actually, that's one that I keep meaning to see with the girls. But
I mean, if you've got 90 minutes, it's like the perfect time killer. It's like, and I think it's like fairly, like you were saying, it's really well made for like a family animated film. Like there's so many great kind of like long animated segments that are replicating the video games, and there's some really, really creative action set pieces, which sounds ridiculous for a Mario film, but like there's like a Mario Kart section where there's like, I don't know, probably like 50, 60 people on this huge rainbow road and everything. And I'm like, this is really impressive. Like you can tell there's a lot of money put behind it and a lot of care from the animators. So yeah, no, I'm not going to say it's a great film, but I've got a bit of a soft spot for it. In CEX, I picked up 2 BFI titles. I picked up Here We Go about around the Mulberry Road. Mulberry Bush, yeah. Sorry, I don't know what this is, but it's from the BFI Flipside collection.
Yeah.
From what I've seen from that lineup, it's usually fairly interesting stuff. I know they just announced like the Vincent Price cooking like Blu-ray.
Oh yeah, that's bonkers. Yeah,
amazing. Are you covering that for the site?
Well, I haven't decided yet. I don't know. I'm tempted. I don't know. Part of me thinks it's just interesting out of curiosity. But it might be a little bit boring, but I'm really intrigued. I don't know if I'll review it. I'll see. It depends what's coming up. There's so much stuff coming out all the time. It's really getting really tough to. I literally have to schedule my months just so that I know what's possible. And I've had to turn down stuff that I would definitely have normally gone for. Yeah, it's just mad. It just gets so much stuff. But it's one I'll probably pick up if I don't review it.
Yeah. If you don't cover it, I'll cover it. I'm just fascinated. I'm like a Vincent Price cooking show. Yeah, no, the flip side label is so interesting. There was a 2 for $15 going on at HMV the other month or like the other week, and I picked up those. Are they like short, sharp shocks? Like horror anthologies, and getting those for like $7.50 a pop was like such a no-brainer. I was like, I've got all 3 volumes up there somewhere. But yeah, no, I need to sit down and dive into those. The BFI are releasing some really interesting stuff.
The what was I going to say? The Rare Waves, I don't know if they still do, but they quite often have a lot of really cheap BFI discs on there, including most of the early kind of Flipside ones. I don't know if that's still on, but they had kind of had an ongoing sale for years. But it's worth checking them out. Rare Waves, they're not always the best at packaging things, but they're dirt cheap. So if you're up for taking the risks, then I say go for it. Yeah, and if it's just a normal disc, if it's in a normal case or whatever, like I guess most of the Flipside ones are, then it doesn't really matter. You can always replace the case.
True, yeah. I'm gonna have to have a look into that because I'm slowly like there are some labels that I haven't like collected for the longest time. Like I kind of stick towards like Arrow 88, although I haven't been collecting as much Arrow recently. I think a lot, like most of the stuff I just review for the site. But like I haven't been collecting as much Arrow recently. But 88 are like kind of my big label right now, where I'm just trying to pick up as much as I can because
I tend to the ones. It's weird with me because a lot of the films I just have on Screener. Some of them. Well, no. What's the weird thing is a lot of my favorite ones I have on Screener because when it comes up, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll review that. So a lot of my favorite ones. So if you come to my house and see the collection, the ones that I've bought are usually the more slightly off kilter ones that I didn't go for, but I found interesting. So my collection's quite unusual of the kind of the stuff that we would review. But I must admit, the ones I buy, because I tend to just buy on sale. I don't tend to. I rarely pre-order and stuff. I do sometimes, but so a lot of the so the BFI is actually one of my. I've got a lot of the BFI ones because you can find them quite cheap. I think any ones that you can pick up cheaper, like I say, the Rare Waves sale are hit hard. I just got loads of stuff from there, and Arrow because their sales are always quite good, and 88. So, but I've got less of stuff like Eureka, who I review a lot of. Because they're not quite as cheap usually. They're and to be honest, a lot of that is because I review a lot of the Eureka ones. I'm a bit greedy with those.
Yeah, well, I mean, that all the kind of stuff that they're putting out is usually right up your alley anyway. Like a lot of the martial arts cinema and stuff like that. So no, not 88. Eureka are doing such a great job recently, and I can completely see why you kind of take all of those. You're like, I want to cover this.
They do very much. Whoever programs their stuff, it's like they're seeing into my mind. It's crazy.
No, they're amazing. I'm sure we'll get into some of their recent announcements later.
I think they might come up soon.
Yeah, they got some good ones. I'll quickly rush through some of these. Another BFI title I picked up is the film More, which I'm not super familiar with outside of one thing, and it's the fact it was released in 1969, and the soundtrack for this film is composed by Pink Floyd, which has me very interested. And I think they like released all of the music they did for this as like an album at some point, but that just has me intrigued. I'm like a huge fan of like Pink Floyd The Wall, like the film, amazing film. So yeah, no, I saw this in my CEX. I don't like that it's in a blue case. That irks me. I know some BFI releases come in blue cases.
I've got one or two, but not many.
Yeah, I'm swapping this case as soon as I can, basically. Let's see what else have we got. Oh, there's a few. Okay, right. I'm gonna skip them through these quick.
I'll try not to get you off on a tangent afterwards.
I'm gonna zoom through them because a lot of these I haven't seen anyway. Island of Fire, the '88 release. I find this cover art very funny. Like the Jackie Chan face is so strange on the cover, but like the cast in this is like absolutely bonkers. Like Jackie Chan, Andy Lau, Sammo Hung, and Tony Leung. Like, why are they all in a film together? I don't know. I've heard the film isn't very good, but I still want to check it out just because. Hey, I'm trying to collect all the like '88 films Chan stuff because they do like the best releases for his stuff. I think like '88 goes so hard on them. I really want their Project A like release that they're doing. I know we got the Eureka set over here, but I want them in 4K. Yesterday I picked up two titles from HMV. These are two blind buys, and I've seen half of one of these films because I watched half of it yesterday, loved it, and then I got a call and I wasn't able to finish the film. But after this podcast, I'm finishing it because it was great. And that was the Wim Wenders film, Perfect Days.
Oh, nice.
This is stunning. I kind of wish I finished it so I could have made it my recommendation for the podcast this week because it's so good. It's my second like Wim Wenders film after Paris, Texas, which I love. Paris, Texas.
Yeah.
And no, this is so beautiful. It's kind of a little Jean Dillman-esque. You're basically just following this janitor around for like 2 hours, basically, in his day-to-day cycle of just like enjoying life, listening to some music, like cleaning toilets in Tokyo and stuff. It's really good. And the lead actor, I'm gonna butcher this pronunciation, Koji Yakuso. I hope I pronounced that right. He's actually the lead character, like the police officer in a Kyo, like the Kiyoshi.
Oh wow!
So that just kind of blew my mind. I was like, wait, he's in this? What the? And it's such an interesting film, especially seeing like a German filmmaker tackle something so like Japanese. Like I find that really, really interesting because it's kind of like a blend of these two different genres, but I don't know. It's beautiful. I can't wait to finish it.
Cool. I must admit it's definitely on my radar, but I've avoided sort of watching it yet because our local film society in Lincoln are showing it. It's on the show. It's on the list. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. But Wim Wenders has done. He did what's it called? He did a film about Yasujiro Ozu. I think he's long been a big kind of Japanese cinema fan. I need to look him up now because
no, I'm curious about this because I'm very newbie.
But yeah, Wim Wenders, you should definitely get Wings of Desire watched as well.
Oh, I've heard that's amazing.
And I like some of his early ones I watched a couple of years ago, and they were really good. But yeah, he's definitely a director to dig through.
Yeah, like I've been so impressed by what I've seen.
I must admit I haven't seen as many as I'd like. There's a lot of holes, but Kings of the Road I liked a lot. That's another kind of mellow, not loads going on, but intoxicating. American Friend is an unusual one. It might not be to everyone's taste, but I liked that a lot. But where's the one he did? Yeah, obviously Paris, Texas is amazing. Oh yeah, Tokyo Ga. Is that the one that's actually about? Oh yeah. Moved by the work of director Yasujiro Ozu, Wim Wenders travels to Japan in search of the Tokyo scene in Ozu's films. So that is supposed to be very good. I've not seen it, but I do know that has been and he's made film in Japan before. So yeah, there's that one to check out.
Yeah, I really want. I know. Was it Curzon who did like a big box set of his stuff like a year or two ago? I kind of want to pick up one of those collections, but they're so pricey. Like
I know.
I'm looking at like the one that I keep like and ahhing about is the Lars von Trier one, because I'm a big von Trier fan. I know he's very polarizing, but I really want some of his earlier stuff that's never had like a Blu-ray release over here. I honestly, I kind of just wish they'd do like standalone releases for a lot of the films, so I could just pick the ones that I don't already own. But
sometimes do eventually. That's the only thing that's put me off the Wim Wenders ones. I do have quite a few of them.
Yeah. I know. I mean, I'm gonna speak about. I was gonna speak about it later, but I'll just quickly bring it up now. For like titles I'm excited for. Curzon just announced that they're releasing Paris, Texas in 4K. I absolutely need that in my collection. That's gonna look gorgeous, and I think Criterion are releasing it around the same time in the States anyway, so it might be one of those like co-production type deals or something. But I'm really, really excited to see that in 4K. Anyway, I'll rush through the rest of these. I'm so sorry. I'm taking forever. The Sofia Coppola film Priscilla, which I still haven't seen, but I've heard Priscilla's pretty good, and it has that one lady at Kaylee Spaney. I don't know how to pronounce her name. She's like the lead, the co-lead in Civil War, my favorite film of this year. And she's also in Alien Romulus, which I haven't seen yet, but she's kind of like getting a ton of these big roles. And also I like what I've seen from Sofia Coppola so far. Like Lost in Translation is really great, so hopefully that's good. And this is like a really, this and the what's the other one got? Yeah, these are like, I don't know if this Perfect Days one is, but this is like a HMV exclusive, and it's got like a big slip case. It comes with the film on 4K. There's a poster, but here's what really surprised me. So, when you get like a typical limited edition and they include art cards, the traditional like art cards, you usually get about like 4 or 5. This comes with 12.
Wow.
And they're like pretty big as well. So I was kind of blown away, and I was like, I'll pick that up just in case it's one of those HMV ones that goes out of print and then people are selling it for like £70 in like a year's time or something. I'm excited to check out Priscilla because I've heard very good things. I need to finish Perfect Days, which I loved what I've seen. I picked up 2 Criterion imports from a seller on Marketplace because these recently got 4K like releases over in the UK, and they're both classics. Raging Bull, which I covered the Blu-ray for over at Blueprint. What am I saying over at Blueprint? We know. This is the Blueprint podcast. I'm so used to like when I do like YouTube videos, I'm like, over at Blueprint. Anyway, so I covered the Blu-ray, and I popped the 4K in to see how it looks. It looks amazing, and I didn't cover this, but I know somebody covered it for the site, and I'm completely blanking on the name. I'm so sorry. But the De Palma film Blowout, which is magnificent, amazing film. So I'm really happy to have both of those on 4K now. I'm just gonna hold this pile and go through the rest of these now. I got Mean Streets on 4K.
Nice.
I've never seen Mean Streets. I'm a huge Scorsese fan. It's every day I'm like, is today the day? And I'm so close to, and then I'm just like, I'll hold off for now. But it's almost like I don't want to watch all the Scorsese films because I'm scared that I'm not gonna have any more to like discover. Although I do still have like 12 or 13 or something. Like
quite a lot.
Yeah, he's made so many. But I'm really, really excited to check that out. The Legendary Hundreds.
I'm desperate to see that. I need to pick it up.
So good.
Waiting for a sale.
It's honestly, it's worth the full £15. It's so good. One of the funniest films I've seen. It arguably like the funniest film of the decade so far. It's amazing. Fantastic film. I dropped some Blu-rays. No. Okay, I can cover all of these. I've not seen any of the ones I'm about to talk about now, so I can just like quickly show these. I picked all these up in the Signal 1 sale. I don't have any Signal 1 titles. They were selling them for like
I got a bunch as well,
I picked up River's Edge, which has Keanu Reeves, Crispin Glover, Dennis Hopper. I was like, sure. The Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane, which I'm pretty sure is an early Jodie.
I've seen that, It's an odd one. It's interesting. It's worth watching.
Yeah, Martin Sheen's in it too. I'm really, really excited to check that out.
Great.
The Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires. Now, this sounds amazing because it's like a hammer and like a
Golden Harvest.
It's
one. I don't know. It's one of the Shaw Brothers. I can't remember. Hammer and Shaw Brothers would make a better team, but I don't know if it is.
I think it probably is Golden Harvest. It's one of the two, but it just like the concept alone sold me, and for a $5, I was like, yes, I'm gonna watch this at some
I must admit, it's one I know I've heard of, and it's a bit legendary. But I haven't watched it. But I picked that up a few months ago, so I'm keen to watch it. I think I've heard it doesn't quite live up to the expectations of who's involved, but it's still supposed to be fun. It's still supposed to be fun.
As long as it's fun, I'm happy. I picked up the Roger Corman film Gas because I just want to watch some more Corman films. He's made like 100, and I've only seen, I don't know how many Roger Corman directed films I've seen, but no, it's like absolutely packed with extras, and I was like, yes, I'll get that. I did order Death Race 2000, but it was out of stock. Like I ordered it.
Yeah, I did the same. It's so annoying. I got it, and then they emailed me and said, "Oh, it's out of stock. You're not going to get it."
That was like the one that I wanted the most as well, because it's such a fun film. But I'll pick it up in the next sale. And finally, I picked this up for a few reasons. One, because I'm really interested to see the film, but two, because it's a 20th Century Fox title, and with Disney, I don't know how long it's going to be in print, and it's The Panic in Needle Park with Al Pacino. So I'm really excited to check that out, because I think that's like one of the early, like one of his first like breakout performances and everything. And then
it's one of the smaller labels, but they've got some good stuff in there. They've got some interesting titles in there. No, I hit the sale too. I was just going to show one of them because the others are somewhere down there. But yeah, we'll get to that in a minute, I think.
Yeah, I'm on my last few titles anyway. Cool. But I'm excited. I'm excited. I picked up the 4K for The Crow, like the original. I almost bought this on Amazon because they had it for 25% off, but they said it wasn't going to arrive until like November. And I was like, I'm not waiting that long, because like, with the move and everything, I might not even be able to get it there. So I just picked it up in HMV because I got to catch it on the big screen a few months ago and absolutely fell in love with it. I'd seen it for the first time very early this year, and I was like, this is a pretty good film. But seeing it for a second time with like a packed audience, I was like, no, this is special. And so this weekend is National Cinema Day.
Yes,
Saturday. So my cinema is doing something really cool. So most cinemas around the UK are doing the like cheap cinema tickets and everything, I'm pretty sure. But my cinema is also doing it on the Sunday. So I'm gonna, on the Saturday and Sunday, I'm basically at the cinema all day because I want to see as many films as I can for dirt cheap. And I'm gonna go see The Crow remake with Bill Skarsgård.
Fair enough.
It looks really bad. But I get to see it in IMAX, and I only paid £4.
Oh, nice.
So I'm not gonna complain.
Frustratingly, my wife's doing like an ultra marathon that day, so I'm kind of hanging around, and I agreed to help film it. So, and I did this before I learned it was National Cinema Day. I was like, I'm hoping I might sneak out for a bit and hope that Anna finishes the marathon and I can go to the cinema without being called saying pick me up. So I might sneak out to one film, and I'd already agreed. I'm watching a film with a friend of mine the day afterwards on Sunday. But actually the cinema in Huddersfield, it's crazy cheap anyway. Like it's £5 a ticket anyway on Sunday. So it doesn't make a massive difference. But yeah, it was a shame. I would have done a bit of a blitz myself as well. But it's I'm away.
Yeah. For that weekend in particular, my local cinema, I think quite a few chains are doing it, but my local independent cinemas, they're playing all of the Star Wars films. I got to catch The Phantom Menace earlier this year when they did like the anniversary screening, and I've always had a soft spot for that film, but it really kind of clicked that time, and I'm like, I don't really like Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith, so I'm hoping seeing them on the big screen will kind of change that, and I'll finally be like won over by them. So I'm seeing those two, and I want to say Alien Romulus and IMAX on the Saturday. And on the Sunday I'm seeing The Crow remake and. Oh my god! Right, have you heard of the horror film that's like coming out on Friday called Afraid? But it's got like AI in the title. Bad. It looks bad, but I'm like, I'm not gonna pay £9-10 for that ticket. I'll pay £4 for it now. So I'm gonna see that, and then I might sneak in an extra film if there's something else playing that's interesting. But yeah. Oh, my final title. Well. Technically, I have another one, but it kind of coincides with the films I'm going to be talking about, so I'm holding off on talking about that until later. But my last pickup, which was one of my favorite films of last year, Michael Mann's Ferrari, that was in the sale as well. And this one's really fascinating just for the fact that with Universal, they usually highlight if something has like Dolby Vision support on the back, and on this it says HDR10, but I've read reviews online and I confirmed this myself after putting my put it in my 4K player. This has a Dolby Vision like color grade, but it's just not anywhere on the like cover art or anything, which is very strange.
Weird.
But yeah, no, this looks amazing in 4K. And did you see Ferrari?
I didn't. I missed it. No,
it's so good. But why am I forgetting the name?
I'm not a biopic guy at all. I do struggle with them. Yeah, but I don't know. Sometimes they surprise me, but I don't know. I'm not a big biopic
That's
guy.
fair. No, that's completely.
But I do quite like I do like car movies though. So I don't know. It's one I was intrigued by, but I just didn't get around to it.
And also Michael Mann.
Yeah.
Michael Mann is always like a good selling point. But yeah, anyway, that was my pickup. I'm so sorry for taking forever. And that wasn't even all of it.
No, dear.
But yeah, let's see.
I'll have a quick go, mate. I've not got all of mine, but I've got a big block one I was just going to show, but I'm not, again, a lot of these are random purchases, so I wasn't going to spend too much time over them, but I was just going to show my splurge over at Severin. As we mentioned before, because when you're importing, it costs so much to post. You've got to kind of make the most of it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to rush through my epic Severin purchase. I just picked loads of the cheapest ones, really. I got No Way Home, which looked interesting. It's got Tim Roth in it and Deborah Kara-Unger. It looks kind of gritty and brutal. It comes with a soundtrack, which is quite cool. A few of these do. It's a nice thing that Severin's does, because I'm still a bit of a CD guy, and I do like my soundtracks.
I can't remember what it is. I think I have the like Joe D'Amato film Absurd from them. Like I picked it up from a collector a few years ago, and that comes with the soundtrack as well.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for that. Arrow used to do that a lot more, but like they don't do it so much anymore, which is a shame. But you know, I always love when you get CD soundtrack. Actually, Second Sight are good for that too. Like some of their limited editions come with some CDs.
Yeah, I think Radiance have done that at least once. They might have done it twice. They've definitely done it once for Dead Mother.
Yeah,
it's a really good soundtrack. Okay, so I've also got Raiders of Atlantis, which looks like loads of fun.
Is that Italian?
It's an Italian action movie, which is awesome. It's got people on sort of motorbikes and helicopters and some sort of sci-fi stuff going on. It looks awesome.
It sounds amazing. I love that like you can kind of tell when a film's Italian from the poster, like from that era in particular.
Well, speaking of Italian movies, I think this is, we have Faceless, a bit of Franco, loads of extras on this one by the looks of things. Cool. And
I love Severin. Severin are great.
Yeah, we have No One Heard the Scream.
Oh my god!
I think a lot of these are Italian. And then we've got a double bill, Axe and Kidnap Coed. It's it's technically a triple bill when I put it into my collection thing, because there's also and this has the soundtrack as well. But there's actually Bloody Brothers, which is like a hybrid feature. I think it combines the two films into another film, which is really weird.
Okay,
that looked interesting. And I bought Birdemic.
Yes. I don't know where my Severin collection is. I also own Birdemic. It is. Have you seen Birdemic?
I haven't. I've seen trailers and things. I do quite like a So Bad It's Good sort of film.
It's special. It's very special. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on Birdemic.
Yeah, well, I might have to watch it soon, because I'm on the Lambcast in a couple of months doing. There's a show that in fact I think he started booking me a little slot on it because he knows I'm always up for it. But he does it. They do a show called The Decade Look Back. We might have mentioned it before.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah. But where they talk about I don't know why it's called Decade Look Back, because they pick a single year and then talk about everyone picks 5 films from that year to talk about, and I just use it as an excuse to get through my movie collection. So it's awesome, because it kind of forces me to maybe dig into some films that I randomly bought on a whim that I might have just kind of gathering dust somewhere. But we're doing a modern. We quite often do kind of delve into the past and things, but this time it's actually 2010, which feels very recent to me.
Yeah.
And Birdemic is 2010, so I might try and squeeze it in there.
I think that would make for interesting discussion.
Yeah. And I've been watching I've started watching a couple already, and I've been watching quite a all over the shop kind of range of stuff. So I think it'll fit my my random bill quite nicely. So yeah, we've also got a Cop Game, so more kind of awesome action cheese, and The Dogs, which looks interesting.
Dogs
with Gerard Depardieu. It's who is it? Is it someone? Oh no, it's not. I don't recognize him. But yeah, it's supposed to be quite good. It looks kind of cool.
Yeah, no, I really like that poster or like cover art.
Double Target, I'm more a sucker for these kind of
Double Target. That looks
Italian,
amazing.
I think is it Bruno Mattei? I think. Oh no, is it? Only Mattei could do that. Oh yeah, something like that. But yeah, it's going to be terrible, but it'll be awesome. If that makes any sense.
Yes.
Beyond Darkness.
I have
another soundtrack on that one.
Did 88? I think 88 released that. I can't be bothered.
Oh, did they? It looks
kind of... I really want to see that. Italian films are like my bread and butter. I love them.
And then finally, I actually double dipped. I already have the British Blu-ray of this, Drowning by Numbers, but I had to buy this because one of my interviews is on there.
That's awesome.
And they never sent me a contributor copy. Like quite often companies will send you a copy when you've worked on it, but these guys didn't. But to be fair, I live in the UK, so I don't blame them. But yeah, this is the interview I did with Bernard Hill is on here. Who died recently, so it's I mean, I've got it seems a bit silly because I obviously have the footage still upstairs on my computer, but I've not seen it edited. I didn't edit it, I just shot it. So I'd be interested to see how it turned out. And the film's supposed to be great. I haven't actually watched it yet, but as I said, I've got 2 copies of it now, so no excuse. Cool. So yeah, that was my Severin one, and then I'll quickly whiz through some other random stuff I bought. Kind of similar to you, not quite the same films, but the same. We've hit some of the same sales. So I hit the Signal One Entertainment sale, and I won't go through all the ones I got because there's somewhere buried under there. But what I did, I wanted to point out that I did buy Mr. Majestic, which
it was out of stock when I placed my order, and I was so sad.
But yeah, because obviously we talked about this last month, so I already own it. I own it on DVD, and the DVD was a bit ropey, but this has got like a commentary and all this kind of stuff, and I was like, I really enjoyed it. It was a fun film, so I couldn't resist. It was only like £5, so I was like, do it.
Oh, that's amazing. I still need to see it. It sounds like an instant 10 for me. I'm like, this is like so up my alley.
And I also hit HMV and I also got a movie film, but I got First Cow, which
nice.
Which I mean, I quite often buy films I haven't seen, but I have seen this, but I enjoyed it a lot, and I don't own it, so yeah, I am a big Kelly Reichardt fan. We've got a box set somewhere. It's hidden behind something. So yeah, I got that, and also a bit of one that grabbed my attention was Memoria, which I haven't seen. It's
Peach Pong.
Oh yeah, I had no idea how to pronounce his name, but Apachapong Wiras the. That's that cool. I don't know.
I just call him a Peach Pong.
Yeah, that's probably bad.
That's right.
I must admit, I haven't seen any of his films yet, but they sound intriguing, and they always get good reviews. I know they're not for everyone. They're very odd. But this was only $8.99. But what grabbed me was it's an awesome edition. Like it's got a booklet. It's got a kind of fancy cover and stuff, and for $8.99, and it's supposed to be really good. And I thought I'm going to take the plunge and go for it. It looked like a really nice edition, and yeah.
No, I really want to see that. I earlier this year I watched Uncle Boon Me, Who Can Recall His Past Lives.
Yes, that's 2010 too. That's on my
list. Watch it. It's so I can't wait to if you cover that, I'm absolutely listening to that episode because it's such a good film.
Because remember we were I was always kicked myself because we were in. Me and the guys I used to work with at Blueprint, we were at the Cannes Film Festival when that won, but I don't know if any of the rest of the Blueprint team watched it, but my brother went to watch it in one of the screenings, but I didn't. I was like, I don't know, it sounds a bit weird, and I watched something else because I didn't really know the director at that point. But I remember my brother seeing it and saying it was like that was the weirdest thing he's ever seen. but he really liked it, but it was just like. Yeah, some stuff with fish and that sounds bizarre.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a lot, but like it's something that's almost like difficult to really discuss. It's very much kind of just like an in the moment kind of like you're either into it or not into it whatsoever. Because like describing like the narrative is kind of pointless because it's very much just like I don't even know what to. Like, it's just like kind of an experience more so than anything else. Really beautiful film though.
Yeah, it sounds like my kind of thing, and I'm big
Yeah.
Asian cinema. I'm always willing to give anything a shot from down there. So
Yeah.
yeah, of course, as I say, I'm going to try and watch Uncle Boonmay soon. And then also, as I say, I bought other stuff, but there's some interesting ones that haven't arrived yet that I might talk about next month.
Okay.
But yeah, but I also hit BFI loads of BFI titles from HMV myself, so I'll quickly just show these. I got Burning an Illusion, which is a recent release, but and it was only, was it like $7.50 or something? I can't remember. It was really cheap for quite a new release, and it's still got the booklet and everything. It's
awesome.
So yeah, that's supposed to be really good. I got Kula Wampa, which sounded intriguing. It's the only communist film to come out of West Weimar Germany, so it's sounds very unusual. But it's got loads of extras and all this kind of jazz. It sounded interesting. And then an old classic, well, not that old, but a classic for me that I remember is Gregory's Girl. It's a film. I've got it on DVD, but the DVD is horrendous, and I missed it. I skipped on the chance of reviewing it because I was just busy. But it was on sale, and it's got an amazing edition. It's got loads of extras. And and it's supposed to look 1,000 times better than the dodgy old DVD that I've got.
It does. I have the 4K because when it initially went up for pre-order on Amazon, for some reason Amazon had it listed for the 4K release at $12.99, and I'd never seen the film, and I was like, I'll pre-order that day one because like even if it goes on sale, there's no chance you'd get it with like the slipcover or the booklet or anything like later down the line. So I pre-ordered that. I'd never seen the film. I actually liked the film quite a bit. I wasn't like in love with it, but it's one that I'm like kind of eager to rewatch already because I'm like. It's like in the moment I was like, this is fine, but like it's kind of stuck with me since. But no,
it's a very gentle film. It's very nice. It's but if you're in the right mood for it, it's just a lovely little film. I do like it. I've not seen it for a long time, but I do have fond memories of watching it.
The great thing about that release as well is Second Sight did a Blu-ray for it like a decade ago or something.
Yeah.
Or like, I want to say maybe not a decade, like 2015, 2016. But the BFI release has everything from a Second Sight release, which is great. So they've ported everything over. I think there's like a commentary with Mark Kermode and the director, maybe. But yeah, there's like so much on there. And like, I haven't...
There's a new commentary as well,
Yeah, I haven't dived into like all of the extras yet, but I can't wait to listen to that Kermode track. I love listening to his audio commentaries. He's done some great ones over the past like few years. Like he did one for 88 Films for the film Hackers, like the Angelina Jolie film, and he interviewed the director. Oh, he coded it with the director. But my favorite Kermode tracks are. He did one for Exorcist 3 with William Peter Blatty, and then he did one. Where's the release? Here it is. He did a Friedkin commentary for the Arrow release of Cruising, which is an amazing. Have you seen Cruising?
I've not seen it. Actually, I've got it. I haven't seen it yet. Yeah.
Cruising is like, for the longest time, it was my favorite Friedkin, but now I think it might be Killer Joe.
Oh wow! Killer Joe is awesome.
Killer Joe is a lot, but no, I think Killer Joe is a great film. But yeah, no, Cruising is amazing. You should check that out.
Cool.
But yeah, no, great pickups.
What was one more?
Let's
see. The other one, this was a bit of a, because to be honest, a lot of the other ones I'd seen. I quite often do this. I was looking at the HMV website and thought, that was good. Yeah. But then I'll usually pop, because there's a store just in Lincoln, so I'll pop in there because I like to support the kind of brick and mortar. I like to keep them going. So I picked a lot of them up in store. But whilst I was there, I picked up one that wasn't on my list that just kind of looked out, and that was Young Soul Rebels.
Oh yeah,
I didn't know much about it, but when I saw it in the shop, I kind of looked it up because I think from the cover art, how clear it is on there, I always assumed it was a new film, and I've never paid it that much attention when I've seen them announcing it. I was like, oh, okay, whatever. I don't know. It didn't grab me. But I actually picked up and had a look, it's actually, it's a 1991 film. It's all about kind of the kind of punk scene. I think it's punk scene in the 70s, and
Yeah.
so it sounds interesting. And I looked at reviews of it. It's supposed to be fantastic, and it just sounds interesting. So I gave it a shot. So yeah, we shall see. Only £8.50. It's still the limited edition. Got the booklet and all that kind of stuff. So
that's amazing. If I'm gonna have to check my HMV for some of these, because I know this sale's been going on for a while now. Like on the website, it's like the 50% off sale, and they're matching it in store. But when I went in, like on payday, this was like 3 weeks after the sale had gone. So I've just got like whatever people didn't want. Like there's none of like all of the fancy stuff. Like I wanted Memoria, they didn't have it. None of the BFI stuff's on sale that I don't already have. But I'm gonna have to see if they have that, because when we got the email for it, for like if we wanted to cover it for Blueprint, I was so tempted to pick it up because it sounded super interesting, but I never ended up doing it. So if you do end up checking it out, please let me know what it's like, because I'm super curious. But yeah, we
say there's other stuff I've picked up, but I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, we love supporting physical media. Yeah. I think that's if that's not obvious.
Yeah.
Oh, but
cool.
Yeah.
So what? Should we have a quick chat about what is coming up then? What's on your radar?
Okay, I've not went too crazy with this list because I always go like bonkers with the lists. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 titles right now.
Okay.
So I'm gonna start from the bottom. I don't know why. So first off, Longlegs is getting a 4K, which is amazing. I did not expect it to get a 4K over here. I thought we'd be lucky to get it on Blu-ray, but it seems I think the companies that released Longlegs is like Black Bear or something, but they're putting it out on 4K. That is going to be a day one purchase. That's one of my favorites of this year. Amazing film. Thanksgiving, Eli Roth's Thanksgiving from last year is finally getting a 4K a year after the fact, which is really strange. They just released it on Blu-ray, apart from I think like Italy and Germany got a 4K last year, but like outside of that, in the States and over here, we didn't get a 4K. But that's getting one. I'm probably gonna buy that at some point, just because I think Thanksgiving is Eli Roth's only good film. He's not a particularly great director. His Borderlands film is not good.
I keep forgetting it's him who's directed that.
Yeah, it's. I did a bit of a very ranty review on Blueprint. Borderlands, but I had a fun time writing that.
I just finished playing the first game through. Actually, I'm way behind. I want to play the sequels now. But I really enjoyed the first game, so it's quite a shame when it turned out a bit rubbish. I haven't watched it, but by all accounts, I probably shouldn't.
No, I maybe do it on one of those like weekends of trash or something.
Yeah. It's something to probably watch on TV.
It's something, but no, it's just one of those films where it's like you can't hear like any creative voice for it whatsoever, and it's like at first I was like maybe there's something here, and then like after 5 minutes you're like, oh no. After 5 minutes I wanted to leave, but I was like, I'm gonna sit through this. Paris, Texas is getting a 4K, like I mentioned a little bit ago. I'm so excited for that. I watched Paris, Texas for the first time last year when I had the Criterion channel, because I was like, I need to see this. I've heard great things. Harry Dean Stanton's amazing, so I was like, I want to see this. Fell in love with it, so definitely picking that up. The short titles that 88 Films have announced recently, the ones that you've covered for the site, I have those pre-ordered because during their summer sale they allowed pre-order items too, and I was like, I collect all of the 88 Shore Films titles, like all of these guys here, and I was like, if I can get them for 25% off as well, that's like kind of a win-win. So I pre-ordered To Kill a Mastermind, is it for Golden Lotus, and what was the other one that they're doing? There's another
I reviewed, the Shadow Boxing.
Shadow Boxing, that's it. Yeah, I've pre-ordered all 3 of those, so I'm looking forward to those. But also, some more short titles of theirs have just went up on Amazon. I don't know if you saw this, like 3 more titles. One's called like The Kung Fu Instructor, and I can't remember the names of the other 2, but they've got 3 more coming out as well. So nice. I want to grab those as well. But I will say they have no extras on us again, which is kind of a shame. But still,
the only thing I would say that is the only thing that sometimes occasionally I'm like, I don't mind it not having extras, just because I'm reviewing so much at the minute. So occasionally it's like, well, it's going to save me some time at least. It makes writing the reviews harder though. I find I use the extras a lot to write my review, at least the intros to my reviews.
Yes,
Like, because I introduced the film by telling a little bit of its history, but I went to review To Kill a Mastermind. I was like, I have no idea, I don't know anything about this film. It's just like, it's a film.
It was
So it's
like,
just, it was
like
tricky.
I had like the first time, I think throughout my entire time writing for Blueprint, I've only ever had maybe one title before, but like recently, like without extras, sorry, but recently the Sting Blu-ray didn't have any extras, and I was so gutted by that, because like I was a huge fan of the film, and like when I interviewed Kia, the director of the film, he even said like towards the end of the interview, he said they recorded tons of like behind the scenes stuff, interviews, but like it just never made it onto any of the Blu-rays, which is just really baffling to me. I don't know why that's the case, but you know, thankfully for that film, I had a lot to kind of talk about because I was just a huge fan. But like, I would also struggle if I didn't have at least some kind of context for like one of the films. So no, I completely get what you're saying.
Yeah, they kind of jog my mind sometimes as well. Because what I tend to do is I'm an absolute, I live by Google Keep the notes thing.
Yes.
And
same.
Yeah, but so what I'll be listening, if I'm listening to a commentary or an interview or something like that, it'll remind me of something in the film that I'm like, oh, I won't mind mentioning that. And so on Google Keep, I'll write a few notes, and I end up almost writing the review as I go along in the daytime. So when it comes to actually writing it, I can copy and paste chunks from there, and I've done half the work already. Whereas if there's no extras, you're having to kind of go and think a bit harder about what's just from kind of raw, just when you sat in front of a page. It's just not the same. You can always tell if a film doesn't have any extras, or if the extras aren't very strong, if they're just a few random kind of backslapping EPK kind of things. Then you'll see my review is about 2 pages short or something. It's just like, it does make a difference.
I'm just like you were saying earlier, that I think like before we started, it's great to see these kind of smaller short titles like make the jump to Blu-ray anyway, because they've never had Blu-rays over here anyway. So just the fact that we're getting them in general is awesome, like even if they are like sans extras and stuff. The second site, and if I don't know if you've got like an email yet for like anyone to cover this, but I want to call dibs now if I can. The Blair Witch second sight release, which is weird because I'm also down to cover the Umbrella, like I think it's Umbrella or imprint Blair Witch release, and now I'm just like, I don't know what to do, because are you familiar with like how interesting the second sight like Blair Witch release is?
I've not looked too much into it, but isn't there another new version of the film or something?
So the thing with Blair Witch, which I didn't know too much about this. So as soon as was it imprint or was it Umbrella that we cover? I think it must have been.
It's imprint. We don't do Umbrella ones. I keep trying. I love Umbrella, but no.
So imprint are releasing the Blair Witch and Book of Secrets, like the Blair Witch 2 film. And what I didn't know is, throughout its entire home media run, from VHS all the way up to now, Blair Witch has never been presented in the filmmaker's like original version, because the film was shot on I think it was like, it wasn't Super 8, but it was shot with like camcorders and everything, and then it was projected, it was transferred to, I want to say 16 or maybe 35 mil, and when it came time for the home media release, Artisan, who are now Lionsgate, released the film with this like projected like version of the film, which wasn't the director's intent. It was like kind of cropped in a way that the directors were never happy with, and it actually sped it up a little bit because it was shot on tape and everything, not tape, because it was shot through camcorders. I think the actual frame rate for Blair Witch is 60 frames a second. It's like a 60i type thing, but because the film was projected on 35 mil, it was presented at 24 frames a second. So throughout its entire home media run, it's never been presented as the directors or filmmakers or producers or actors ever wanted it to be like released. So because of that, the imprint release and like all of these other like the standard Blu-ray releases have never really been that version, but Second Sight have worked with the producers and worked with the filmmakers to actually restore that original negative. So for the very first time for like 25 years, you're actually going to be able to see, in 25 years, sorry, you're going to be able to see the original version of that film. There's also the festival version of the film, which is a bit longer, and for like just for completionist's sake, they've also included that like tampered with version as well. So you have 3 different versions of the film, and I think it's such a big deal, kind of, considering the Blair Witch Project is like arguably one of the most important independent movies of all time. So to see it kind of get its like original release for the first time, because like I'm only used to it through like the Blu-rays and DVDs that we've got over the years and everything. So I'm so fascinated to see what it will look like in its original form. So if no one else is like asked to review that, I'd love to review. I'm almost so just down for the accomplishment for the task of covering the same film twice for two different studios. Because at least I still get to cover Book of Shadows with the imprint release.
Yeah. Although I mean, I will say we don't always, because they come from Australia, we don't always get those anyway. We kind of get 50% of them maybe. So it's hit and miss whether it'll arrive anyway. So it's probably worth going for the second sight. And the second sight's releases are always amazing.
Oh, they're amazing, yeah. And finally, also they announced, so I'm not huge on this film, but I'll also cover it for the site if there's no other takers. They announced Late Night with the Devil, the horror film from this year. I have very mixed feelings on that film, but mainly just down to the fact that they used like artificial intelligence for some of the film in a really gross kind of way. But I think the film's interesting enough, and I want to kind of cover it for the site if possible, just because it has interviews with the filmmakers, and I'm curious to see if they touch on that, because it was a big controversy. Because essentially, throughout the film, it's kind of replicating like an old talk show like aesthetic, and there's like these like interstitials that play where it's like "We'll be right back" or like "Happy Halloween," because it's like a Halloween themed thing. But they were created with AI, and I don't like that. I don't like when AI is kind of like being like incorporated as like an art form. So I'm really interested to see if they touch on that in the extras, because I haven't heard too much about them kind of covering that. But still, I'm kind of fascinated by it anyway, because the rest of the film isn't half bad. It's just that kind of taints it a little bit for me.
Well, I did have my eye on that, but it depends what else is coming out, because I missed it at the cinema, and it's one I was kind of intrigued by. So it depends. It depends on the release date and what else is coming up, because I'm already getting my my schedule's getting a bit crazy.
It's October, I know that. It's like late October.
I might struggle to fit it in. That's what I quite often find with Second Sight. I reviewed The Hitcher recently, and I kind of mentioned in there how I keep passing on the Second Sight releases, because they're amazing, but I think it's because they don't often send out the press releases or like final dates until a little closer to the time. And as I say, I'm always booked solid, so I'm always a bit like, oh, I'll let someone else do it, and it's a bit frustrating. But sometimes I just can't resist. Like I did the Dawn of the Dead one, and I did The Hitcher, because I did
Martin as well, right?
I did Martin as well. I wanting to watch that for a long time.
I
do occasionally jump in there. But Late Night with the Devil, as I say, I'm intrigued, because I've heard mixed things, but some people really like it, and it sounds kind of cool.
It's the big thing for me is like I regardless, like even if you don't cover it for the site, I'd love to like discuss it sometime with you if you ever get around to seeing it, because I think the film's very, very, very indebted to Ghost Watch, which is one of my favorites. Like I love
it.
So it was very weird seeing something that's so kind of like, I don't want to say shamelessly copying, that's not the right word, but it's very, very like obviously inspired. It's Late Night with the Devil is fascinating. I'm not huge on it, but I don't hate it either. I'm just very in the middle on it, but I'd be curious to check it out again in the future. But finally, also one more thing, I'm super jealous that you covered The Hitcher. I'm so jealous. I have the limited edition pre-ordered. It looks amazing.
It's my release of the year so far. It's amazing. It's a great film though, which helps, but it's
so good.
It's epic. Yeah, loads of extras. The extras are all fun, and there's a few. So what I find sometimes, if there are too many extras, sometimes you get a lot of repetition. There are some stories that are repeated here and there, but overall, each piece kind of has a different kind of vibe to it. There's like 4 commentaries, but they but they take quite different stances. You've got one that's kind of looking very intellectual. It's kind of looking at the gender kind of issues in the film. You've got one that's analyzing it in a bit of a different way, and then I'm trying to think what the other one. And then you've got a filmmaker one. So it's a nice mix. So I really enjoyed working through that, and the film looks amazing. It's great.
It's one of those that's never really had its like just do on physical media. Like all the old DVDs have just kind of looked a bit.
I forgot how good it looked, or maybe I just didn't realize how good it looked, because I only ever saw it on TV or whatever. I haven't seen it for ages, but I used to love it. Just from, as I say, I'm trying to think if I ever owned it. I don't know. I think I just kind of watched it on telly all the time.
Yeah, it's one of those that was just like, because I think the DVD's been super out of print for ages now, and like it's just amazing to see it finally make the jump to 4K. I cannot wait to check that out. And yeah, your review was great and just kind of got me even more excited. I was like, no, I'm so excited for this. And then David's seen it and he's saying it's amazing. I'm like, yeah. So I'm really excited for that. I was also going to say, I feel like I'm kind of the Second Sight resident Blueprint reviewer at this point. I've covered so much of their stuff this year. I just covered Your Next, and Second Sight are doing amazing stuff like right now. I think out of all of the big labels, that one of my favorites, just for the fact that it's more quality over quantity. I don't know if they've ever had like a disc replacement program for like any of their films, because they've never had any issues. They always take their time, and I mean, even while I've been reviewing for Blueprint, there's been a few times where they've delayed a release by like a month or so just to make sure it's in perfect condition. And I really love that they kind of cater to like collectors like ourselves. And stuff.
I mean, it's the case with the Hitcher and with Martin. They announced them years ago. And it took them so long because they were doing it properly, because they found better prints, or they wanted to, or the grade they wasn't happy with it, or whatever. They just make sure it is perfect. Whereas a lot of labels might be just like, we want the money, just pump it out, even if it's not quite there.
It's a shame, because like some of the other labels do like great releases outside of just like, they don't like quality control as much as they should, and then you're getting like these endless replacement programs. I'm pretty sure everyone knows who I'm insinuating. I'm sorry, I love you guys over at that label. Anyway, but no, Second Sight are like killing it right now, and I'm so excited to see what we've got on horizon. I mean, I'm really like, I don't know if you're going to be covering it for the site, but I'm so excited for the release of Dead Man's Shoes, the Shane Meadows film.
I think I missed that.
I think they're doing it on 4K. Well, they've announced they're releasing it. We don't know if it's 4K or just Blu-ray, but have you ever seen Dead Man's Shoes?
I have. I saw it at the cinema. Yeah, I love it.
Film, yeah. So they've kind of carved this niche where it's like every release of theirs is something that I'm interested in checking out, which some of the other labels never really do, because you'll get like a monthly announcement, and then Arrow will announce that they're doing the Clash of the Titans remake on 4K, and I'm like, okay, I guess. But yeah, no, it's like Second Sight are killing it. Anyway, I just realized I've got two more films to talk about in terms of what I'm excited for, and I'll just go through these really fast. One of these got announced today, and both of these got announced today, but they were announced a few months ago for the States, and they had a Criterion releases of Godzilla, like the original 54 Shiro Honda Godzilla, and Gummo, like Harmony Korine's Gummo. That kind of like happiness. I can't believe we're getting Gummo on Blu-ray, let alone 4K. That film has been relegated to like DVD. I might be wrong. I don't think Gummo even has a DVD in the UK. It has a VHS. I don't think it has a DVD. That's how like hard to find that film is over here. So I'm beyond excited to like finally see that in a presentable form, because it's always just been like the most naff like looking quality, which I mean kind of fits for Gummo, because that film is so kind of like purposely kind of trashy. But I'm so excited to see that and whatever extras are included. And Godzilla, I mean, it's perfect. It's one of the greatest motion pictures of all time, and I'm so happy to see that make the jump to 4K. Anyway, I'm gonna stop yapping. Tell me what you're excited for.
We're never gonna get around to these reviews, but never mind. I'm gonna quickly say, I'm just gonna quickly talk about just two label announcements that just kind of grabbed my attention for the coming months, for November releases, sorry. And the first up is Radiance. I think I always pick Radiance.
Yes, Radiance is so good.
We talked earlier about Eureka kind of picking my brain and picking releases that I love, and Radiance are the same. And I've mentioned this before. I love the fact that they quite often dig deep as well and get some really stuff I've never heard of, but then as soon as I read about it, I watch it. It's like, yeah, this is awesome. I'll mention some of it's mainly three of their 4 November releases really grabbed my attention. That's Japan Organized Crime Boss. That's a film by Kinji Fukasaku. Ooh. And they've like between kind of Radiance and Eureka and Arrow, they've been releasing loads of his films over the last 10 or so years. And the more I watch, the more I think he's one of my favorite filmmakers. He's so consistently good. Like the only time I've been let down by a Kinji Fukasaku film is The Green Slime, which sounds like there's probably a lot of interference from American studios and things. And it's it's just a bit naff, but he's just nails it. I know you could argue some of his films kind of tread similar ground, but he does it so damn well. And this just looks, as soon as I saw his name on it, it's like, right, I'm doing it. This is mine. So yeah, that's all it takes for a Fukasaku film. So yeah, I'm down for that. Then we've got Slap the Monster on Page 1.
That's an amazing title.
It's an awesome title, which grabbed my attention straight away. It's by Marco Bellocchio, who did Fists in the Pocket, which I reviewed a year or two ago and was very, very impressed by. And it stars Gian Maria Volonte, who's one of Italian cinema's greatest actors. And it just sounds right up my alley. It's the write-up. It's days before a general election, a young girl is raped and murdered. Bisanti, who was Gian Maria Volante, the editor of a right-wing newspaper, uses the story to help the Conservative candidate his paper supports. So it sounds like, to be honest, it sounds like the kind of thing that still goes on now. So it sounds really interesting. I'm very excited about this one, and I've been very impressed. I've been impressed by all the kind of Italian stuff that Radiance has been putting out. I reviewed, and I've been really digging most of it. So it made me realize I haven't seen enough Italian cinema. I've seen a few of the kind of big genre ones, but there's so much good stuff out there. And Radiance have really been knocking it out of the park every time. And so I'm definitely there. The one I really reviewed recently, We Still Kill the Old Way, that was amazing. And there's a review that should post in a few days that I've already written, but I did a scheduled post, and that's for I forgot, A Man on His Knees. That was brilliant. And I've been very, very impressed by all of these Italian movies they've been putting out.
Awesome.
And then the other one from their November releases that I'm interested in is Panic in Year Zero. This just sounds a bit bonkers. Well, maybe not bonkers, but it's so it didn't say what year it is. I want to say 50s. I think it's probably 50s. But yeah, it's basically Ray Milland. He takes his family on a fishing trip, but their holiday is brutally interrupted as a catastrophic atomic war breaks out, destroying their suburban LA home. The United Nations announces that society is broken down and the Baldwin family must quickly learn how to navigate year zero and do whatever it takes to survive.
That sounds awesome.
So it's like a nuclear scare, maybe has a bit of a film noir kind of thing going on. I don't know, but it looks fascinating. And I do quite like my kind of 40s and 50s dark Hollywood stuff. I love it. And Ray Milland's always worth watching. So yeah, that got my attention. Radiance are also in November releasing The Story of Adele H, which is supposed to be good, but it doesn't sound like quite my sort of thing. And period costume dramas, I struggle with them. I don't know. I might give this one a miss. I might pick it up if it's on sale later, but it's not one that's grabbed me as much as the others. But I'm sure it's probably way better than I'm giving it credit for. But that's how I'm selling it. But yeah, not my cup of tea. But the other three, definitely, I'm there. And then the other announcement I was excited about came today, and that was Eureka. I think, as I say, Eureka and Radiance. I'm always picking them for the ones I'm excited about. But yeah, Eureka have just got a really nice lineup coming in November. So they have Black Tuesday, which is an Edward G. Robinson film. It's like a prison break film noir kind of job from the 40s, I believe, and that looks awesome. It's bang up my street. I watch anything with Edward G. Robinson, to be honest. Then we've got Juggernaut, which this is, at first I was a bit like, this is definitely the one I'm least excited about, but at the same time I read into it, the reviews are pretty decent and it looks fun. It's I think it's Richard Lester.
Oh, nice.
And it's kind of like it's a terrorist takeover I think it's a navy kind of a ship, and puts it under ransom or whatever. And I watched the trailer. And it looks fun. Explosions. It's got a very really good cast of British kind of favorites. There's Ian Holm in there, and
awesome.
Omar Sharif is in there as well. I think there's quite a few big names in there. So it looks fun. But then the other two that are definitely in my wheelhouse. One is The Sword, which is supposed to be excellent. I'm always up for a bit of wuxia kind of sword play stuff. But then the box set that really I thought, yes, this looks so fun, is Super Spies and Secret Lies. So this is 3 undercover classics from Shaw Brothers. It's basically 3 James Bond ripoffs from Shaw Brothers, which for me is like, manna from heaven. Because I love Hong Kong movies, I love Shaw Brothers, and I love James Bond. And so these look awesome. The trailer looks like day glow, cheesy 60s nonsense of the highest caliber. So I'm all over this one. So yeah, Eureka, you have got all my money this month. I say all my money, I'm probably just going to review them all, but yeah, it's brilliant.
That's an amazing lineup. As soon as I was on Facebook earlier and I saw the announcements today, I was like, David's gonna pick those. David's gonna cover those for the song.
Might have to skip. I must admit, I might have to skip Juggernaut just because I don't think I can fit everything in, because I've already got the Radiance ones that I mentioned earlier, and I can't do everything. But definitely the other ones, I'm going to do my utmost to fit them in, because I can't turn down a bit of film noir. I assume it's film noir. It looks noirish anyway, and I can't. And I just the others. I'm not. The Sword. I've heard a lot about The Sword. It's supposed to be awesome, and and that spy set just looks loads of fun.
I'm the site's resident second sight reviewer. You're the site's resident short reviewer.
Yeah. Although I'm not doing the Shaw Scope set from Arrow this time because it's too big, and I was just like, I don't care, I'm just going to buy it. I think it was announced in June. It was my birthday month. I was like, I'm going to buy it, and I just bought it. That's
fair. That's completely fair. I've got the first 2 volumes. I still need to make my way through them, but like the films I've seen so far have been excellent. Like I really loved what was it called? The Boxer's Omen's amazing, but on that same disc, I think is it like Mercenaries from Hong Kong or something? That film is absolutely bonkers in volume 2. So no, I'm so excited for that 3rd volume. Arrow's Shaw sets have been like sublime. They're so good.
Yeah, I need to get through volume 2, because I said that I didn't review 2 either, because I did the first set, but it was such an epic undertaking. I bottled it out of the other ones, because I just thought I just bought them instead.
Yeah, I think like, during my first year for reviewing, like writing for Blueprint, I took on a lot of box sets, not really understanding how difficult it can be to kind of get through them, especially when it is the likes of like an Arrow or something, where they are just like every disc has like 5 hours of bonus features. It feels like my 2 big ones, and they came out around the same time, were the Child's Play box set and the Coffin Joe box set. And I doubled those like almost back to back, and I was like, I'm taking a break from box sets. I'll eventually cover some more. But
the big ones for me. I mean, the Shaw was one of the biggest, but it wasn't the biggest. Was the King Kong, not King Kong, sorry, Godzilla Criterion. That was epic, but I got through that. I managed to do that one, but then the other one, which I must admit I didn't finish all the films, but I was honest with it in my review, and that is, but not because I didn't like them, but it was just so massive. Was the Zatoichi set? I love that set. I love it. And I've almost finished watching them gradually, but I just didn't have time. I got halfway through the set and was like, I've got to write something. So I reviewed it and kind of said, I apologize. I haven't watched every single one, but I'd watched half of them, and because there's like 26
25, 25, 26.
Yeah, they're really good though. I love that set. It's very consistent. Like you'd think. I mean, the storylines quite often very similar, but the quality is so good. I think the Japanese studios in that era was so good at that. I find that in general, they just put out such solid genre movies. They made everything with real class. Like it was always shot really nicely. Everything's framed really nicely. The cast because they do a lot of these similar roles, that they know exactly who to pick. They pick people who are perfect for each role. So it's just sheer class kind of genre filmmaking. I find from the from the Japanese films that era.
No.
The Italians a bit similar, but I think they tend to rush them out a little more in terms of especially when it comes to dubbing and things. They're not always the best.
No.
But at the same time, they do still have a kind of a certain level of quality. They do have and they have a great stable of performers that they can just that use all the time. I guess with Italian cinema, they jumped on bandwagons more quickly, I think. So they kept changing tacks, and maybe they weren't always quite ready for it. Whereas Japanese cinema would stay in a similar kind of wheelhouse for longer periods. But yeah,
I saw I have a Zatoichi box set. I've only watched the first film, but it was so good. I'm kind of like I'm disappointed in myself for not checking out more of them yet. But like I can understand if you're like oh yeah, I'm gonna review this box set. 26 films later, I'm like yeah, that's a lot. But my biggest undertaking might have been, I want to say it was the Coffin Joe box set.
Probably tough. It's massive.
I tried because not only are there like, I want to say like how many films were there? It's more than 10. It was more than 10, I think. But like I did like additional work because like the Arrow set is missing like obviously it doesn't have every film the filmmaker made, but it's missing one of the Coffin Joe films due to licensing issues. So I was like, if I'm covering every Coffin Joe film except one, I'm going to go out of my way to find this film so I can also do a quick like, oh, this is good or is it bad? So there's like a section in my review midway through where I'm like it's just like an interlude or like an intermission, and I'm like, oh, also the I forget what, I think it's The Bloody Exorcism of Coffin Joe. That's the one that wasn't in the box set, which is a really good one as well. And I found it on YouTube because like there's no DVDs, Blu-rays, or anything for it. But the Coffin Joe one was such a huge undertaking because there are so many films and they're all super interesting as well. Like none of the films really feel the same, and there's different eras. Like some of them get like super meta with the fact that they are films as they are, like very like Hodorowski-esque almost. And then there's just some films that feel completely unrelated to the box set, but they're I don't know, it's just such a huge box set, and the extras are so like in depth. Like there's like, I think there's like some interviews that are like an hour and a half or something crazy, and there's some podcasts on there as well. Like there's so many extras, but that was like such a fun time kind of diving into this like this box set from a filmmaker I'd never heard of, for a franchise I'd never heard of, and also when it comes to kind of like Spanish and Mexican cinema, it wasn't something I'm like hugely familiar in anyway. So it was also nice to just kind of I don't even want to say challenge myself, but just like introduce myself to a world that I wasn't super familiar with in the first place.
Yeah, so, I think that's what's quite good about doing the reviews. Sometimes it just gets you just try things out.
Yeah.
I must admit that set is one I'm waiting and waiting for it to come down in price, but it hasn't yet. It's still in stock. So I guess it might not be selling as super crazy as I thought it might have done, but it's quite an odd one, I guess. I'm waiting. As soon as it comes down in price, I'm going to get it. Because it does look interesting.
It's not something that I can see everybody loving, but I think especially for kind of just how like influential it was for cinema of that era, like independent like Mexican cinema of that era and everything. It's just like it's one of Arrow's best kind of like box sets in a very long time, in my opinion. Like I think of this decade, it might I don't know, when did the Gamera box set come out? That was 2019 or 2018? If that wasn't in the 2020s, the Coffin Joe set might be my favorite Arrow box set of this decade so far. Nice. Even if the films aren't all great, like some of them I just flat out didn't like, but there's some that are just amazing, and they do some like absolutely bonkers things where like I don't even want to spoil some things, but there's some moments in those first few films where you're watching it and you're like, okay, I know where this is going, and just out of nowhere something insane happens for 10 minutes and I'm like, am I watching a different film now or something? And Jose Marins, I believe his name was like Jose Marins, I forget the guy's name, but the guy who created the Coffin Joe himself and the director, he is absolutely like bonkers. There's a documentary included on the first disc, which is, I think it's like a retrospective one from like maybe one of the Anchor Bay DVDs or like a Blu-ray from like 10 years ago, but some of the stuff he says in that documentary is like terrible, but I'm like, yeah, it makes sense when you're like, if you're playing this like disgusting character, I'm like, yeah, that kind of tracks. But yeah, I'm talking too much about Coffin Joe. I'm still in that element. Like I spent so long with that character, but I'm like, I'm still with him. But yeah. Oh, anyway, I keep yapping so much. I'm so sorry.
Cool. No, that's all right. And cool.
Oh.
Well, as I say, that's me for kind of ones that I was excited about, or at least that's all I could think of to just before the show. But yeah, so I guess we should. What time are we on? Let's have a look at what we've watched. I mean, I've only got one. I'm not going to talk about it a great deal. So I'll let you kick things off. What have you been watching recently?
So I'm gonna talk about a box set which I've almost finished. I say almost. There's one film I still need to see in the box set, and there's also one film that I need to revisit. And it's from a filmmaker who, before buying this box set, which was kind of it was like a partial birthday present. Like I paid half, my mum paid half because it's quite a pricey one. It's a filmmaker who I've always been fascinated by, but this year I watched his biggest film, fell in love with it, and I was like, I want to just dive through this guy's films. So I want to briefly touch on a couple of the films in the amazing World of Wong Kar-wai box set from Criterion. Before this, I'd seen Fallen Angels and I'd seen In the Mood for Love a few years back, and I really liked Fallen Angels, and I was very in the middle on In the Mood for Love. I wasn't a huge fan on my first viewing, but I dove through this box set, and the only film that I still need to see is it 2046? I think that's the only film that I need to see from it. But this box set has so many films. I'm actually gonna get I'm taking the Blu-ray out so I can remember the films because there's so many in here. But I've basically been going through like Wong Kar-wai's films for the first time outside of the few that I'd already seen. And I watched As Tears Go By, which was his first feature, and I was super impressed by that. I thought it was a really super engaging film, and it's like one of those ones where even though you can tell he's kind of like finding his footing and he hasn't like fully developed the style that would come later in like Chungking Express and stuff, you still feel like shades of that there, especially with just like how gorgeous the film looks. And I didn't know this until like after watching it, but apparently As Tears Go By is like a loose remake of Mean Streets, which I wasn't familiar with. But like I guess I'll watch Mean Streets after the fact and I'll be like, oh, it's like that Wong Kar-wai film, which I'm going to be the only person to do that. But no, I really love This Tears Go By. I thought it was absolutely just like gorgeous to look at. Same for the follow-up, the second film, Days of Being Wild. Like I feel like there's such a natural kind of sense of progression throughout these films where it's like you start off and you're like, okay, I see he's like very influenced by like again like the Scorseses of the world and stuff like that. But when it hits like Chungking and Fallen Angels, you're just like, this guy's in his own world now, like entirely. And Chungking Express is like maybe one of my favorite films ever. I know it's strange.
I love Chungking Express.
It's so beautiful, and it feels weird for me to say it because I only watched it for the first time about 4 or 5 months ago, like for the very first time, and since then I've seen it 3 times. So like I just can't get enough of it. I'm like, I keep going back. But like Chungking Express is just absolutely gorgeous in like every sense of the word. It's so beautiful. It's so funny. It's got such a like an endearing like endearing two central romances really, but are just so, I don't know. I think Wong Kar-wai might be the most romantic filmmaker out there. Like he loves it. He loves his romance. But Chungking Express is perfect. I'm kind of just like going through all the films because it's like I'm just like, oh, they're all so good. Fallen Angels. I need to revisit it, but it's like it's in close contention for favorite for me. I think Fallen Angels has like it's like the cool factor almost, like it's like the coolest movie I've ever seen, where Chungking Express is like the most heartfelt and endearing and just like sweet film. Fallen Angels is like, this is just
super cool.
It's flipping awesome, I'm gonna say.
I can't remember which I want to say Fallen Angels was the first I saw. It was either that or Chungking Express. I saw them at a similar kind of time on VHS probably. And they both absolutely blew me away. And then I think I watched them not a year or two before In the Mood for Love came out probably, and because I think I definitely saw that at the cinema, and and that was just like whoa. So no, I adore the set. I've reviewed it on the site actually.
Yes, I was looking. I was like, what I tend to do is I because obviously I've only been reviewing for the site for a while. Whenever I pick up like a title from like past few years, I always check to see if anyone on the site reviewed it. Because if not, I'm like, I'm gonna do a belated like year later review of one of these. And then I read through your review and I was like, yeah, you get it. There's so many great things, and I still need to see some of the stuff in the set. Like I want to see obviously 2046, I think it is, or 2040. Is it 2046 or 2048? 2040. It is
2046. Yeah.
Yes, it is. I need to rewatch Happy Together because I watched that years ago and I haven't revisited it yet, because that's another one where I'm like, I remember how heavy that film is, and I'm just like, I kind of need to be in the mood for Happy Together because that is probably his bleakest film. Like, it's a lot. But like I've revisited In the Mood for Love, and like initially on my first viewing I was like, this is gorgeous, this is stunning, it's well acted, well performed, but I wasn't kind of connecting with the central like romance very much. And then I revisited it after kind of going on this deep dive, and I was like, I get it now. I get it. This is such a Wong Kar-wai like type romance film, and no, it's amazing. It looks. I loved it so much, and I was like, I need this. I need to own the original, because this is quite a controversial set. I know you covered it in your review because of the transfers and like all of the backlash to that, where like he kind of tinkered with the films a little bit and changed the aspect ratios. So I actually ended up also buying the old Criterion for In the Mood for Love, because it has the original, the like original color grade where like the reds pop a bit more. Because the one thing I will say against this World of Wong Kar-wai set is the In the Mood for Love restoration kind of ruins the film a teeny little bit. And the only reason I say that is because it kind of puts like a green matrix tint over it, which is so distracting when the film is so like, it's so vibrant, and like the reds are so kind of pronounced in that film. And it's like, it's one of the most colorful motion pictures I think I've ever seen in my entire life. And I feel like out of all of the like tinkering, that's the one that kind of I was like, I'm not so huge on this. I don't even mind the aspect ratio change in Fallen Angels. I think it looks pretty good still. Like I still think that version looks good, but I wanted that original version with like the original like popping reds and everything. And also, strangely, this has a few extra bonus features than this one, which kind of like shocked me, because there's Tony Ray, I think it's Tony Raines.
Oh yeah, Tony Raines.
Yeah, he did 2 interviews for this old Criterion release, and they're not present on this.
That's weird.
But he also did an interview and a commentary for the Chunking Express, like the very old Blu-ray that Criterion did, and they're also not in the World of Wong Kar-wai box set. So I don't know if like Criterion had a falling out with him,
or maybe Tony Raines might have had a problem with the whole tweaks and changes and things, but I don't know.
It was very, very confusing, because I was just like, why are they not there? So I wanted to pick this up for obviously the original color grade, but also just the fact that it's got a few extras. And I ended up checking the Tony Raines interview out, and it was really, really interesting.
Yeah, so, most of his stuff, I mean, if you see his name on something, it's always worth watching. He knows his stuff. Yeah,
my first introduction to him was the interview he did on the Old Boy, like Arrow Video box set, like the Vengeance Trilogy box set, sorry. He has like a 40-minute interview on that called like Out of the Past, and it's great interview.
He's done one of my maybe not my favorite commentary, but one of the most impressive, like I had to applaud him kind of commentaries. He does a commentary on A Brighter Summer Day, which is a long film. I think it Pushing for? It's a brilliant film. It's absolutely amazing. But he does a commentary through the whole film, and it's fantastic, because he does something that I usually have a bugbear of mine is people who just explain what's going on screen in commentary. And in a way, he kind of does that in this, but the film is so complicated and layered that actually it's really helpful having him kind of explain what's going on. But he doesn't just do that; he adds a lot more to it. But he does that in a way. He does that in a way that really helps you appreciate and understand exactly what you've just seen. Tony Raines is a legend. I must admit, I didn't realize it was missing for that. I think it's weird. I think it's been a while since I've seen it now, but the changes and stuff didn't bother me as much. I think As I say, partly because the last time I'd seen like Chunking Express and Fallen Angels on VHS or something, which is totally the wrong aspect ratio. Like, so it didn't bother me that much. But I mean, but I did, as I say, I did see In the Mood for Love and Cinema and things, but I don't know. It didn't. It still looked good to me, and I think if it looked good, and if it's the director who made those changes, then like, fair enough. But I do understand people getting. It is frustrating that it didn't include both versions on there, maybe, or something like that. But at the end of the day, I don't think it necessarily changed the film for me, which is, I guess, is what matters. But I don't know.
Because I'm usually I'm more on the side of like if a director really wants to like tinker with their film later down the line or something, I'm never opposed to that unless it's like completely changing and like obscuring the original version. It's one of the things I really love about like the like whenever we get like a special edition of like a Francis Ford Coppola film is he'll always include that original version. If you get Apocalypse Now, you'll get the like all of the cuts of the film. One from the Heart as well recently, and it's just like I like when filmmakers will give you the choice for both because it gives you the one that you like, but then it gives them the one that they like or like their version.
Like the whole George Lucas thing keeps. And then just totally gets rid of the old versions. It's so frustrating.
Yeah. And the strange thing with the Wong Kar-wai stuff is I every so often I've spoke about it before on the podcast, but I'll subscribe to the Criterion channel, like the US streaming service they've got, and obviously because they've released the films, they have all of the Wong Kar-wai films on the Criterion channel, and they've got their extras and everything. But one thing I really like about the Criterion channel is like I was just mentioning the extras, and in the extra section for Chunking Express, for Fallen Angels, and for most of these films, they actually have as a bonus feature the original versions of the films. So like if you want to watch Chunking Express or Fallen Angels in its original aspect ratio, it's available to stream on there, which just kind of begs the question, why not include it on the Blu-ray if you're like happily gonna stream it? I really don't understand that. Like it just kind of confuses me a little bit, but still, I again for the first time like seeing stuff like Days of Being Wild and As Tears Go By, like those films I'd never seen before, so they looked like absolutely amazing. I don't know if they've been like incredibly tinkered with to what the theatrical releases look like, but for me they looked great. And like the only time I really had an issue going through the set was the In the Mood for Love. It's such a drastic change, and again I know a lot of people have their issues with Fallen Angels because it completely changes like the aspect ratio of the film, and like you're losing a bit of the image, but I think it works for how stylized that film is, and it didn't really distract me too much. Like it's such a gorgeous film, but like even if you do mess with it, it still looks gorgeous. So I can't complain that much. And just the box set itself though is just absolutely amazing, and I could go on and on about everything else and like all of the extras. There's so many good extras and interviews it's an amazing set, like for the films, for the extras, and just like again like the transfers, even when they are tinkered with. Like the new In the Mood for Love restoration is so gorgeous. I just don't like the color grade. That's the only thing. It looks amazing, but I'm just like I wish those reds popped a little bit more. So it's like there's like pros and cons to it, but still it's such an amazing box set. It might be one of my favorite Criterion sets outside of maybe the Godzilla set, like the Showa era box set. I think that was amazing as well.
It was awesome.
But yeah, I know this wasn't really just kind of focusing on one film and more so just like talking about a bunch of them, but I was just like, I've been in a Wong Kar-wai mood recently, so I'm gonna discuss a few of those. But yeah, no, amazing box set, amazing films. I don't think I've disliked any yet. And I'll throw one more out there. I recently, for the first time, watched Ashes of Time, which isn't included.
I was going to mention that,
yeah. And after watching that, I was like, why was that not included in the box set?
It's weird. It's just a rights thing, I guess. But
yeah, because I did like, is it like Artificial Isle Curzon who have that out on Blu-ray over here?
Yeah, one of them was they're the same now, aren't they?
Yeah, it's in print, and it's like it was like a tenner, so I picked it up and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. It only, again, kind of like this box set, the only version on the Blu-ray is the Redux version.
Yeah, I was going to say there are different versions of it again.
Yeah. is I was doing a bit of digging. One thing I love to do. I don't know if you're familiar with the site, but I love the website DVD Compare. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
it's so helpful for like if you want to see if something's cut or if there's alternate versions or extras and whatnot. And on there, I was looking, and obviously the original version of Ashes of Time has never been released on Blu-ray, but I was looking through the DVD Compare like for the original DVD releases, and the only version is like, I want to say it's like an American DVD that is like in acceptable quality, but it's dubbed or something. And I'm like, no. And then there's like a Hong Kong DVD, but it looks terrible apparently. So I'm just like, I'll just watch the Redux. I'm not.
Yeah.
And the film itself is gorgeous. Like
It's gorgeous, yeah.
outside of like maybe like Chunking or Fallen Angels, it might be his prettiest film. Like the Chris Doyle cinematography is so stunning in that film.
Yeah, it's one. I'm hit and miss with Ashes of Time. I like bits of it. It doesn't always work for me. I think it's an odd one, but I have seen the older version, but a long time ago, so I can't really remember the differences. I assume it was that version because the Redux wouldn't have been made by then. It was
it's like 2010.
it was on TV. It was on TV or something like that. I think I taped it off TV, way back. But I only vaguely remember it. But I did see. I'm name dropping all the time with this, but I did see the Redux version in Cannes when it came out in Cannes.
Oh, that's amazing!
Again, but that was. But yeah, it did look impressive. But again, I wasn't 100% of the film still thing. I don't know. It's yeah, it doesn't. I want to rewatch it. It's one I keep wanting to revisit because it's one I should love because I love Wong Kar-wai and I love martial arts films. But I don't know. I think, but it doesn't. But because it's a Wong Kar-wai film, there's not a lot of action. So the martial arts anime was a bit like, and the martial arts isn't always that. The way it's edited and stuff isn't quite to my taste.
Yeah, it's very, very Wong Kar-wai.
Yeah.
Like,
but it's still a Wong Kar-wai film. It still is cool. I think I don't know. I need to watch it again with a different head on. It's been a while since I've seen it.
I really liked it, but like I kind of have similar issues where I'm like, I don't think it's perfect. And if I were to do like a ranking of his films, it probably wouldn't crack like the top 3 or 4 or something. But the thing I really loved about Ashes of Time is it reminded me of a film that I've never been reminded of before, and it's such a weird film to reference, but it reminds me of Michael Mann's Miami Vice. And I'll tell you why. Because have you ever seen Mann's Miami Vice?
I think so. I don't remember. I think I have. Yeah.
So the thing with Miami Vice for me, and I've realized this is kind of like a big thing now over the past like decade or so. It's kind of had a huge resurgence. It's like a cult film now. When it like flopped at the box office and like had mid critical reviews and everything. But the thing I love so much about Miami Vice is the fact that it's kind of utter nonsense. The characters are terrible. The writing is really like terrible in a lot of ways, but the vibes are like sublime. They're perfect. It's like the most. It's like I can't remember the exact quote, but like, and it's on the Wikipedia page for the film. But Harmony Korine has described Miami Vice as one of his favorite films. But he says he never when he watches it, he doesn't even watch it with the sound on because the narrative and everything that's going on in the film does not matter. It's just about the vibes. It's just about how beautiful it is and how it uses this like digital cinematography in a way where I'm like, I don't really care about the overarching narrative of that film, but I still love it dearly because it gives me this like feeling that nothing else really does. And I can't say that for any other films, because if another film was like, oh, the narrative's naff or something, I'd be like, this is boring, I don't want to watch it because I'm not connecting to anything. But Michael Mann's able to kind of create this just like, I don't know, like this out of this world like energy and vibe to Miami Vice that makes me just love it dearly. And it's like, it's almost like a transcendental experience. It's crazy. And Ashes of Time reminded me a lot of that, where I'm like, this romance isn't like really hitting for me too much. And I think, like you said, some of the action is like strangely edited, and like there's so much going on that like in a typical film I'd criticize as just being kind of bad. But then I'm also just like hooked and transfixed by how gorgeous everything is, and how like it just feels like the film. I think he said it's like his favorite film he's ever made, or like the most important film he's ever made. I think Wong Kar-wai said, and I get that. It's like you can tell how much effort and like passion and blood, sweat, and tears was put into the production of that film. film, and it is gorgeous. It's amazing. It's kind of just like a bit like sloppy when it comes to the narrative and most of the like actual technical elements, but it's like I'm transported into that world for an hour. I was transported into that world for like an hour and 40 minutes or whatever. It's a really pretty film.
What I would like to see at some point, although maybe it is out and I'm not aware of it, I'm sure you can import it from somewhere, is the kind of original, well, I don't know what version is what, but a better version of the Grandmaster, because the Grandmaster's one I was a bit disappointed by.
I want to see that.
But I've only seen the kind of international or UK release or whatever it is, which is quite butchered, and this is the story that just doesn't flow very well. And I'm hoping, but I know Wong Kar-wai can be a bit loose with his stories anyway. I'm kind of hoping that the other version will kind of work better, because there are moments that are really nice in there, but it was just a little bit messy, and it didn't quite do it for me. So I'm desperate to see the other version of that, but I'm sure it's available somewhere.
I really want to see that too. That's one of like outside of 2046, I think, and in the box set they have that like short that was extended. The Hand, I think.
The Hand,
yeah. I need to see those three, and I also need to see. Did you hear about the series he did last year?
I have, yeah. I can remember after doing the review, I looked it up to see what else he's been doing.
Yeah, because it's like a Twin Peaks Return situation where he directed every episode. It's like 20 hours long or something, but it doesn't have any like English language release, which kind of
is
sucks.
mad.
Because like, especially considering how popular he is, you'd think that like some label or some company would be like give it to us or something. But with the Grandmaster, I want to see that original cut too, because I did a bit of research, because I always like to, when I'm diving into a filmmaker, I always like to do a bit of research on what's going on and what happened. And I think the Grandmaster was like a victim of like the Weinsteins kind of like butchering it. And I think that version that we got, like the like UK US cut, it's like I think the Weinsteins forced him to cut like 20-30 minutes out of a film, and I'm like, why? Why? I don't get it. The Weinsteins always butchered films.
Yeah, and it shows, as I say, shows the story doesn't really make a lot of sense. It just jumps around, and it's just stupid. I just don't know what they're thinking half the time.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I don't understand why companies feel the need to like, we can make this film better. It's just let the director do their thing.
Well, as an editor working on kind of low budget films, it is such a kind of popular thing. Where it's like, it's longer than 90 minutes. It's like, cut it down. It's like, but does it need to be cut down? Yeah, no one's ever going to watch a film longer than 90 minutes. It's like, since when? Like, go to the cinema. Every blockbuster these days is 2.5 hours long or something. But like, no, you've got to make it 90 minutes.
It's like, I think my favorite thing is when films are allowed to like have that room to breathe almost, because it's like, I'm not like, there are some fantastic 80-minute films out there. Like there are even films that are like an hour and 10 minutes. Like I do like a tight kind of film, and tightly kind of just a film that really moves, and I do appreciate a short film. But some films have just got to be long. It's as long as the story allows it. Exactly. And I don't know, studio interference is always going to bug me. I think that's why I like that nowadays a lot, well, outside of like things that are in like the Disney machine or something, a lot of directors get a bit more leeway when they're working with the smaller companies like the A24s or the Neons or like something like that. They kind of get a bit more leeway to just like, I don't know, like last year we got Ari Aster's Beau is Afraid. That film is 3 hours long. It does not need to be 3 hours long. But he was like, I made Hereditary, I made Midsummer, I made you guys money, let me do this. So he just basically did that. And even this year with Yorgos Lanthimos with Kinds of Kindness, like that film is like almost 3 hours long. I actually watched that again last night because it's finally available like digitally, and terrible, I know, I'm a physical media guy, but you can get it on iTunes for like a tenner in 4K. And I was like, I don't even think it's going to get Blu-ray over here, to be honest, because I don't think it made much money.
I actually think something's been announced recently. I might be wrong. I've seen some things posted, right? I might be wrong. Might be a US thing.
If it gets a Blu-ray over here, I will still buy it. I did that with Poor Things as well. But I watched it last night with a friend over call, because like we both watched it basically. And Kinds of Kindness is like, I don't know how the Walt Disney Corporation commission decided that this was going to be like an acceptable film to release. Have you seen Kinds of Kindness?
I have. I loved it. I thought it was amazing.
So
yeah.
It's so funny, but it's like it's kind of evil.
Dark. Yeah.
It's like I don't even want to give away some of the things, but like each of the three the segments of the film have like such a like. There's always like a disgusting reveal at some point, and they're like, what? Like, how did this get like how are the same people who are releasing like the Marvel films and like Inside Out 2, they're like, yes, let's put this out in wide like a wide release in the UK. And I don't know. I always love when a filmmaker can kind of push something through that really shouldn't be like released. And even if it flops, even if it makes no money or like bombs, it's like most of the time, maybe not so much with Disney, but most of the time they get these like glorious like special edition releases a decade later. Like again, like Miami Vice, that film, absolute box office bomb. Everyone hated it, but now 88 Films are doing like snazzy releases with like making of documentaries and all of this stuff and commentaries. So I don't know. I'm a sucker for that. Also, I just realized I've been yapping again. I'm so sorry. Right. It's your pick. It's your recommendation. Let me hear.
We're never going to do a short episode, are we? Well,
if I'm here, it's always going to be like 8 hours. I'm sorry.
Well, this is gonna. You were saying earlier. This is gonna be. This. I was saying earlier how I've kind of gone. I've gone quite rogue. I've gone quite different this episode. Like, and you were saying earlier how I don't know if it was recorded or it was before we started recording. How you're saying you've got a habit of always doing these kind of grindhouse like Italian movies and all this kind of stuff. And I've been doing a mixture of kind of really obscure stuff and or classic stuff or like stuff like that. Well, I'm gonna go full on the opposite direction, and I've watched something pretty mainstream, although it's not quite mainstream because I'll discuss it in a minute. But this was I watched a film with my wife. She was up for watching a movie. I was like, let's just watch something silly, and we actually watched Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar.
I've really wanted to see this for the longest time. I've heard amazing things.
Yeah, so it's that's the thing. I'd heard good things as well, and I'd picked it up. I mean, I must admit, this is just a DVD.
Yeah, because it doesn't have a Blu-ray.
There's no Blu-ray in the UK. You can import a US one, but I wasn't about to do that because I was taking a bit of a gamble because it kind of sounded like it might be a bit of a Marmite film.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's interesting about this is that because it's got it's Kristen Wiig. She co-wrote it with Annie and co-stars with Annie Mumolo. I don't pronounce it, and so it's kind of their baby. And obviously Kristen Wiig at least is a big name, and the film kind of came as an idea of them working together on Bridesmaids. So you'd think this is a massive film, but it wasn't. But the problem was it was supposed to be released theatrically in 2020, but COVID. So COVID came out and it was forced into a video on demand release. So it just kind of disappeared. But it's one of those films where the people who have seen it keep talking about it and keep saying it. And I can remember it. I'm pretty sure it was in one or two of the lists, kind of the Blueprint Review kind of end of year lists. So it kind of piqued my interest, and I found it super cheap. I can't remember. It was just a couple of quid or something, £3 or something on DVD. I was like, why not? So yeah, as I say, it's a wonderfully bizarre film. I'll kind of tell you what it's about. So it's basically about Barb and Star, middle-aged ladies. I'm guessing kind of they mention 40s at some point in the film, but they kind of feel more to me like early 50s or something. But yeah, late 40s, early 50s. And they live a very dull life. They've lived in the same time. They're both divorced. And they live in this kind of small town in America. They both work together in a furniture shop, and they spend their days just chatting on the sofa and selling the occasional bit of furniture. And they're just the best of friends, but they kind of go nowhere. But what happens is the store gets closed down, and they're kind of at a loose end. They don't know what to do. But they kind of one of them has the idea. I can't remember which is which. One of them's Barb, one of them's Star. I keep getting them mixed up because they're so like one. And they decide, right? Well, let's just go wild. We've got a severance package from the job. Let's just go on holiday. Let's go to Vista Del Mar in Florida. Although I think it was actually shot in New Mexico, but never mind. It's supposed to be Florida. And so they go on the kind of a dream holiday, just to have loads of fun. But what happens is there's two parallel stories. So you've got this kind of friendship thing going on, then going on the holiday, but you intercut that with which I was not expecting, because I didn't really read much into it. I just thought, oh, it just looks silly and fun. But actually, there's kind of a James Bond-esque super villain who is, am I right in thinking, I think it's actually is played by Kristen Wiig as well, unless I'm making that up. And yeah, so there's this super villain who is planning, she's found a way through her scientist kind of minions to infect mosquitoes with this super deadly venom, and she has millions of these mosquitoes, and her plan is not to take over the world but to get revenge. She wants to get revenge on Vista Del Mar because they wronged her, they humiliated her when she was a child. So she's going to unleash these deadly mosquitoes, kill everyone in Vista Del Mar. Obviously, that's going to be a problem for Barb and Star. So what happens is the evil supervillain, she has a guy who's kind of doing a lot of the dirty work for her, who's played by Jamie Dornan, and and he's in love with the evil supervillain, and he's obsessed with being with making their relationship official. He's like, can we, and she's promised, the villain has promised him she will only make their relationship official if she does this job for him and delivers these mosquitoes, this thing. So yeah, it's really silly. But so anyway, but he's starting to get the idea that she doesn't really care for him, and he's starting to get he's not sure about himself. But he bumps into Barb and Star, and they have a drunken night. They buy this crazy like shared kind of drink that gets them absolutely wasted. I think it's spiked with something as well, and they get wasted and they kind of get together. And from then on, like the a relationship kind of grows between Jamie Dornan and Kristen Wiig's character. Not the supervillain one. The I think it's Star. I think she's Star. Okay. But they kind of have a relationship. But she feels bad because she thinks that maybe Barb might like him too. So she pretends to be ill and secretly go out with Jamie Dornan. But in the meantime, Barb secretly goes and does loads of fun stuff on holiday without her because she doesn't want to waste the holiday, but she feels bad that she's not doing it. So really the crux of the film is this kind of relationship drama between these two best friends who are kind of doing things away from each other and feeling bad about it. So there's kind of that going on whilst jumping back to this crazy supervillain who wants to take over the world. So it's bonkers, and I enjoyed it a lot. We both did. Me and Anna enjoyed it a great deal. It's not an amazing film. Like you kind of, although it's pretty off the rails, and some of the stuff that happens is just like, what the hell? The general kind of arc and stuff is pretty generic.
Yeah.
And it's all very throwaway. Like the whole film in general is not necessarily in a bad way. It's you can tell it's a bit of a passion project. You can tell Kristen Wiig and Annie, I can never remember her name, Annie Mumolo, have kind of made their best friends in real life. They write together, and they were just having fun with this character. Supposedly from the extras, it sounds like they kind of came up with these characters when making Bridesmaids, and I think they were going to have them in Bridesmaid. And it never really happened, but they kept playing around with this, and they said, "Let's just make a film about Barb and Star going on." And I think they came up with a title first, and then wrote the script. and it's just kind of them goofing off, which, in a way, as I say, means it's not a film that I'd rate super highly and be like, I'm not one that's probably going to shout out to the rafters telling everyone to watch it like some other people have. But at the same time, it just gives it a really nice, fun vibe because you can tell everyone involved in this film is just like, let's just have a laugh. Let's just throw everything on to this film. And they've got talking crab that gives Star advice. You've got amazing, crazy musical numbers. Jamie Dornan does a musical, like they call it in the extra features his emotional dance, but he has a full-blown like power ballad moment where he's dancing. He's just making an absolute hit of himself, and it's brilliant. And singing this a song about looking for love and all this kind of stuff. It's just loads of fun. Very, 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 very silly. So it won't be to everyone's taste. I mean, comedies are never. It depends on what you're into.
Yeah.
But if you like a film that's just stupid, but knows it and just kind of goes off in all sorts of crazy directions, then yeah, you can't go wrong. And I know it's DVD only, but it's got a commentary on there, which is pretty fun. I'm only halfway through. Because I just watched this recently.
Yeah.
Commentary's fun, and a lot of the other extras are kind of EBK-ish, like the it's which you get a lot with the more recent releases, but they're decent. Like you do get to you speak to they speak to like the production designer and stuff, who does an amazing job. It's ludicrously, I mean, it's super tacky, and it's kind of it's super tacky, the production design, but in a great way. Like it's supposed to be. Obviously, it's gloriously over the top, really colorful, and so it's quite nice to hear from the kind of the crew on this, because it is, although as I say, I called it throwaway, but it's still, they put a lot of effort into creating this world and this kind of vibe, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So I definitely recommend it if you think it's going to be your cup of tea.
That sounds so much fun. I have to ask, how long is it? Because I picked up the DVD a while back, and I think I got it in HMV, like you said, for like £2.50 or £3, or like maybe a year or two ago, I want to say. Maybe not that long ago. It's fairly recent, about a year ago. And you've kind of sold me on this again. It just sounds like it's right up my alley, like just like absurdist comedy. Like I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. Like I really
it's got some stuff that's kind of cheesy. It doesn't always hit. Not every gag hits, but enough does, and it's just so bonkers. Yeah. But lengthwise, it's 103 minutes, so
that's fine.
It's pretty short. It's a pretty standard kind of length, standard comedy kind of length.
Oh, that sounds fun. No, that sounds super fun. Like you said, like I've heard so many people kind of raving about it, and it's one of those where like the audience, if they like it, they really like it type thing, like the fans of the film. So it's been on my radar for a while too, and like how you're describing it, I'm just like, I'd heard it was absurd, but like killing mosquitoes, I'm like, okay, I'm okay for
I
that.
didn't know anything about the kind of crazy like subplot. Yeah, and they've got like a young child who's kind of there, also one of their minions who's doing all these jobs. It opens with him, like you expect to open with Barb and Star, but it's this kid delivering newspapers and lip syncing to his cheesy pop song. It's bonkers. But yeah, you've got to watch it if you've got it. Yeah,
sounds amazing. I've got the DVD somewhere, and yeah, if it's I might be wrong, but I think it might have been like enough of a success. I think they might have put it out on 4K somewhere in America eventually.
I think I think I have seen it, and to be honest, I mean, well, I don't know. It depends how expensive it is to import, but it is a film that would benefit from definitely the HD and 4K, because it's really colourful. So it's a real shame that we've only got it on DVD here, but it's not a bad DVD, and it looked fine. It's and as I say, the extras are good, but it is a shame.
From how you're describing it too, it kind of sounds like it's got cult classic like written over it anyway. So like, you never know. Maybe like an Arrow will pick it up. Like who released it? Was it Sony?
Lionsgate.
Oh, Lionsgate. Who have maybe I don't know if it'd be in Second Sight's wheelhouse. I know Second Sight have a deal with Lionsgate right now for a few things, because again, Blair Witch, they did May a few like last year and everything. But yeah, maybe it'll get like the boutique treatment one day or something, because you never know. Sounds like one of those kind of like cult films that's just gonna it's gonna amass its audience over time. And it's such a shame, like you were saying, it was like affected by like COVID, like so many films out there, but like, if anything, like even if COVID didn't happen and say it wasn't like a huge box office success, it sounds like one of those films that would kind of find its like audience at home anyway on like DVD, Blu-ray, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't think, I think it's a bit too off the wall to be a huge success, but it definitely would have had a greater word of mouth. I think if it hit cinemas, I think it would have been a quicker cult success. Because as I say, I do think you're right. I do think it's one that's slowly finding its audience, but I think if it came out in the cinema, I think it would have found that audience quicker. And you would have definitely got that UK Blu-ray and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, it is a real shame that it kind of got shoved to VOD.
No, that's such a shame, but still, you've sold me on it. It sounds amazing. It sounds like the kind of stuff, because like with me, with a lot of like the big studio comedies, I find myself kind of tapping out unless they do something a little bit interesting, because like a lot of the humor, like we don't even get many studio comedies nowadays anyway, now that I'm saying it, but like I always like when a film really kind of goes for it, and if it's like a passion project or something, like if you can tell that there's love behind it and everything, it's like usually that'll win me over, even if I'm not like in love with like everything that's going on in film. And like you were saying, if it has like the typical kind of like comedy, like plot structure and like narrative beats and everything, like I'm willing to forgive something like that if the love's put behind it. Like for me, like this doesn't really follow any narrative beats, but one of my favorites, which I'm dying for it to get like a Blu-ray or something one day, is Greg Araki's Smiley Face, which is one of the funniest films I've ever seen that nobody talks about. Like, have you seen many like Greg Araki films?
I haven't. No.
Oh, he's amazing. He's really known for like his kind of like Nowhere, Doom Generation, Mysterious Skin, like really hard hitting kind of dramas that like really kind of go to like some pretty dark places. But in the mid 2000s, he did a stoner comedy with Anna Faris, and it's one of the funniest things I think I've ever seen in my entire life. It's about this woman called Jane, who she's like a complete deadbeat. Like she just like sleeps all day and just like gets high every day. And like the narrative of the film is essentially she has to pay the power bill, but she spends all of her money on weed and then has to devise a plan while incredibly stoned to get the money back for the power bill. So
that actually sounds similar to a Finnish film, which I always recommend to people as one of the funniest kind of Christmas films, is a Lapland Odyssey. I don't know how available it is in the UK. I don't know. You might be able to get it on video on demand, but that's about a it's been a while since I've seen it now, but it's really popular in Finland. I think they've got 2 sequels to it even. Ooh. But it's about a guy who and the lead actor is he recently was in Fallen Leaves in the Aki Kaurismäki's latest film. He's been in a few of his. He's probably one of the most famous kind of younger actors in Finland. He's in loads of stuff. But Lapland Odyssey is about a guy who's a bit of he's not a stoner, but he's a bit of a loser, and his I think his wife or his girlfriend, their Freeview box is broken, and she asks him to go and get a Freeview box on Christmas Eve. And in Finland, everything shuts after lunchtime on Christmas Eve. It says, if you don't get me a Freeview box, because she's fed up of him not doing what she asks, because he's just useless. He just sits on his bum and does nothing. Just says, right, if you don't find me this Freeview box tonight, we're getting a divorce, I'm leaving you, sort of thing. So it's about him. He goes on this quest with his friends, like this crazy adventure in the middle of Christmas Eve in Lapland, in the northern Finland, to find a Freeview box. It's brilliant. It's really, really good.
It sounds so fun. That sounds great. I'm adding that.
It deserves to be better known. It's huge in Finland, but as I say, it hasn't quite made the transition. I think it might be available, but I don't know.
Lapland Odyssey, was it?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm adding this to my watch list now. It sounds very funny. Yeah, no,
it's a Christmas. Save it for Christmas Day. It's best at Christmas.
Yeah,
it's good fun.
Yeah, no, I'm always in. It also sounds a bit Jingle All the Way-ish as well.
Yeah,
like which I love Jingle All the Way. I love it more than I probably should. But that feels so fun. But yeah, no, I'm just a sucker for films that feel like they're just so like I don't know, with Greg Araki, he's so well known for a specific type. So when he ventured out and did this just stoner comedy out of nowhere, it confused critics. But again, like Barb and Starlight, how you were describing it, it's kind of like garnered a cult audience over time, and the people who love it. Like I think it might be one of the funniest films I've ever seen. Like I keep going back to it, and every time it's like I just find another joke that's just so stupid, but it's kind of genius. Like I'm a sucker for like dumb comedies made by really smart people. Like I think of like The Big Lebowski or something like that, where it's like the Coens are like very, very smart individuals, but The Big Lebowski is a really stupid film. Like it's just like full of stupid characters doing stupid things. But like you almost have to be smart to make a film that's that dumb. Like if you know what I mean. And yeah, Smiley Face absolutely hits. I don't know. It might have a DVD over here, but it doesn't have like a Blu-ray or anything. And
I'm trying to look it up.
I
recognize the. I think you might have mentioned it before, but I do. I recognize the poster now. You mentioned.
Yeah, it's 2007. I want to say. Yeah, 2007. That's it. But it's so funny. Like it's just one of those films where like. I don't know, like the narrative is kind of nonsense, but that's the appeal almost, because you're just following this character for 80 minutes and she's just like insanely stoned, and then like 1 minute she'll be like, oh, I have to pay the power bill. Oh, but I need money, I need weed because I'm really I want to get stoned. And then she'll get stoned, forget to pay the power bill, then go off on an adventure. But she also wants to be an actress, so she's got like an acting gig or something, and she's got to do this while insanely stoned and try and like make it work. And then before you know it, she's traveling across the country. Like it's so bonkers, but like it's one of those films that like it just hits for me. Like it's one of those things that I can't get enough of, and I love recommending it to people because I'm like, even if you've obviously never had experience with like smoking or anything, I think it's just got one of those like universal kind of appeals of like the comedy. Like I don't know, it's so funny. It's hard to describe, because if I describe a joke from the film, it probably won't sound funny, but it's down to Anna Faris's physical performance of just like, she's always like slouching around or like mumbling her words, and like there's this one part where she's in somebody's house, like an old teacher's house or something. It's got like a communist manifesto for some reason. And while she's waiting to get this communist manifesto, she's just looking around. She's like really hungry, and she looks to the side and she sees a picture of like President Garfield or something, and she's like, President Garfield, he's cool. Why does this woman have a frame picture of President Garfield? And she's like, when I get home, I'm gonna frame a picture of Garfield the cat because I like lasagna. But if I frame a picture of President Garfield, it will be a meta joke, and they'll be like, why do you have a picture of President Garfield? And it's like, because I like lasagna. And like me describing this right now, it sounds like utter nonsense, and that's because that's what the film is. It's just like characters waffling on about insignificant, stupid things, but it's the delivery and just like how like committed all of the actors are to it, and like with the insane editing style and everything. But it's just it's so funny. If you can track a copy down, I'm gonna have to recommend it one day. Like I'll talk about it one day because it's so funny. But yeah. Anyway, why? This is your segment, and I'm recommending.
No. So I'd finished on that. I'd finished anyway. What did me? I must admit, when I was on Amazon looking at Smiley Face now, it reminded me there was something I forgot to mention in the upcoming releases. And this is totally way on the other side from Barb and Star and stuff like that. And that is, this goes back to actually the Kurtzen. We mentioned Kurtzen doing some of these massive sets. They're doing a Bela Tarr set.
Oh, yeah.
And he's one of those directors that I mean, he's definitely not to everyone's taste. He's a super art house. Yeah. I must admit, I've only seen one of his films, but I was very, very, very impressed. That was The Turin Horse. Yeah, it was one of those films where I felt like everything about it was almost a parody of an art house film. Like it's incredibly slow, not happening. You've got people eating like potatoes and things, but it's so good. There's something I just couldn't tear myself away from it. It's just weirdly captivating, and the filmmaking is incredible. But as I say, so I've been desperate to watch more of them. I've bought. The problem is a lot of his films are really, really long.
Like Satin
Tango.
7 hours.
Yeah, it's 7 hours. I have bought Satin Tango, but as I say, I just haven't found 7 hours to watch it. I saw, I think it's Michael Brook on Facebook just this week. Actually, they did because I think all these Bela Tarr songs have been remastered for this. But they showed down in London. They showed Satin Tango in its entirety. I think it was an all-night screening, like it was a midnight till the morning. But yeah, he went to see that, and he was not tweeting because it's Facebook, but he was posting it because I think they had a few intervals. Like after every interval, he's like, "I'm still awake, I'm still doing it." But it's from all accounts, it's an amazing film, but it's just so long. But the box set, I'm very, as soon as it comes down in price a little bit, I mean, to be honest, it's a lot of money, It's like 90. It's £90, but there's quite but I think they're like I might I want to count. I won't say exactly how many films,
like 7 or 8 or something.
I think well there are 7, 8, but if you include Saturn Tango as basically 3 films.
Yes.
Then although I already own that one, so it doesn't count for me. But it's actually not that bad value.
It is. So you say you own it. I'm guessing that has to be split onto like multiple discs.
I think it might just be 2 discs. I'm not
sure.
sure.
Okay, that's not too bad. I was going to say that 7 hours on one disc, the compression.
I'm pretty. It's definitely at least 2.
Yeah.
But all of his films are supposed to be amazing. As I say, I've only seen one, but I'm very keen to kind of dig deeper. But yeah, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, there are 9 films.
Ooh, okay.
9 films. So already £90 is not a bad amount. And as I say, and Saturn Tango, how you pronounce it, is 7 hours. So it's kind of like 3 films.
Yeah.
So really, it's not a bad price. But I'm still going to wait for it to come down because I already own Turin Horse. I already own Saturn Tango. But I'm hoping it'll drop. If it drops to like 50, 60 or something, I'm there. As I say, it's the kind of filmmaker where you probably got to be in the right mood.
Yes.
He makes very slow, super slow films, but from what I've seen and what I've heard, and so many people rave about him, I'm very interested to get hold of that set, and it looks nice, like all of these directors. I don't know what they call that. I think it's like a series of directors.
Yeah,
whatever portfolios. I mean, they look really nice.
Yeah, because I mentioned earlier, like I really want the Lars von Trier one, but like they've also done like a Peter Strickland one, which looks really gorgeous as well. And the Wim Wenders, they did a Wim Wenders one too.
Is there a what's his name? Is there a Werner? No.
I don't know if there's a Werner one. I know BFI did that big box.
Yeah.
You got it on yourself. Yeah, I see that. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's any others. I know for sure there's those 4. There's a Lars von Trier, Bellatar, Peter Strickland, and Wim Wenders. Like they're the 4 that I'm confident about.
Oh no, I know the other one. It's the guy who did the Square and stuff. I think they've got one of those.
Oh, Ruben
Ostland
or something. Triangle of Sadness guy and everything. Yeah, I need to see more of his. I've only seen Triangle of Sadness. I wasn't huge on it, but I've heard it's like one of his weaker ones. I've heard like some of his early stuff is a bit.
He did do Force Majeure?
Yes, he did.
Force Majeure is very good. I've seen that. I think that's the only one I've seen actually, but that's really good.
I own the Square. I'm pretty sure I own the Artificial Eye Blu-ray of that. And that's one of the things too, because like you were just saying about how you own a couple of the films. I like with the Von Trier set, I really want it. It comes with like 14, 15 films, but I own quite a few already on Blu-ray. I own Melancholia, House that Jack built.
I like that with the Wim Wenders one. I've got loads of those.
So it's just like they look amazing, but it's like I'm gonna have to like sell off like the old Blu-rays or something to kind of justify like paying, because like the Von Trier one's like $129.99 maybe. So again, the Bellatar one you said it was 80, 90 or something like that.
Yes, 89. Yeah, well, £90 basically.
Yeah,
89.99.
Yeah, it's you know what you should do. You should do you go on Blu-ray.com very often?
I do occasionally. Yeah.
There's a guy in there, or you can just do it yourself anyway, I'm pretty sure, on the website. But there's a guy in there who gives out, like, you know how HMV online they have the 20% off like your order thing. There's a guy who just has like a billion of those codes for some reason, so you can get 20% off anything. So if you ordered it through HMV, you could get 20% off and save a good bit of money.
I keep forgetting about those codes. I tried to kind of dodgily kind of give myself one of those codes, and it just didn't work.
I tried the same, but that guy, like, there's just some guy in there who he's like, I don't know if he's just got like a spreadsheet of like 7,000 codes. But in the general HMV thread in the international thing, it's just you just ask him for a code, he'll send you one, and it works, and 20% off an order. So like, if you've got like one of those pricey pre-orders or something, it comes in handy. Because I mean, again, like, how much is that? Like, you're gonna get it for like 70, maybe around 70.
That's for that many films. As I say, if I can sell my copy of Saturn Tango, I think I couldn't sell Turin Horse because it's a screener, but I could sell Saturn Tango for probably reasonable money.
No, absolutely. It's like a big film and everything. People love it. But yeah, we've spoke a lot today.
I know
It's
we
been fun.
should wrap it up. I know I set myself up for 4 when I said at the beginning, oh yeah, it'd be a shorter one today.
I think the funniest thing is like this is like outside of like your big like a bachelor week type thing. This is the first one where it's just been like a one-on-one, and we've still this might be one of the longer episodes.
Yeah, I think it is. It might even be longer than the epic kind of.
It
Probably
might
not.
be.
Actually, maybe not. Maybe not. We're definitely we're pushing 2 hours. I think. Oh dear. Never mind. I enjoy it even if no one's listening.
Me too. I have a blast. It's so much fun because I'm just like, yeah, I'm collecting all these films and watching everything. It's so great to just be like, yeah, let's talk about these for a couple hours. It's so much fun.
Although I feel like we've turned off the other podcasters because no one's joined us for the last 2. We'll see. No, I think I know that's what. Yeah. I know occasionally some people have said they'll do it and then they've dropped out, but
yeah.
we'll see if we can talk anyone back into it next.
Yeah. One day, someone will.
I have to give it more leeway this time. I think the last couple I've done it a little bit more last minute. I think maybe if I do it more in advance.
A couple of weeks beforehand. Well, I'm always down unless like there's like something going on that day. I'm always down to chat for a couple hours. It's so much fun.
Cool. Well, if it's just us, that's fine. Cool.
But
yeah, I like to tie things up then, and yeah, I guess thanks for chatting with me, and
thank you.
Thanks for listening if anyone's out there.
It was a blast as always. Like I love recording this, and I'm excited for next month. There's so much coming out. Like I think we're really in like a physical media haven, like the glory is almost. It's just like there's so much good stuff coming out that in a month's time we'll have like 10 other Blu-rays that we're excited to like talk about, like at minimum probably, and we'll have watched some wacky stuff, I'm sure. But yeah, no, it was a great episode, and thank you so much for everyone for listening, and thanks so much for having me on. As always, it's so much fun.